gesture, isn't it? Given the numbers you've just read out. To take it away, I think, just undermines having done it in the first place. And do you know what, Nick? There's actually a health reason for doing this. It's not ideal, is it, to have staff travelling on public transport into work? It's a safe-ish environment, but it's not as safe as being isolated in your car. So actually, there's not just a...
I expect you will bugger off, huh?
There's a health reason to do this as well.
There is a sense abroad, Mr. Mayor, that the government have said all warm things and marvellous sentiments towards the NHS, but as and when the pay review comes up, and I could point to as and when parking charges in England will see the reality of their stance.
Oh, sorry, I was unmuted.
I do not know, huh? Is that my problem, huh?
I was talking and no reaction.
Probably talking double Dutch as usual.
No, double Flemish.
Oh, God.
Not Dutch.
Oh, God.
Their job is often tougher than anybody's.
Stop. I like the colour of this truck. Very deep purpley, sort of rock star colour. Whereas yours is a bit shit, you know. Yeah. Why have you got mirrors at the back?
Yeah.
Lastly, I don't know whether you heard.
So whenever I am around my truck, I can see my fat ass.
A few years ago was an absolute powerhouse. The media moving
That's
up
the
their
only
media
reason
city,
why I took
independent
this
production
truck.
companies in my
I
line
don't
of
need
work and
those
other
mirrors
jobs
because I
as
can
well.
see
How
it.
nervous
That's
are
from
you for
here.
the city and the surrounding area about the impact of this?
I was directly sold to this truck. Like you were studying. I could see my fat ass. Day in, day out.
Is your fat ass going to get moving, or do I have to do this?
What you have to do?
That.
I don't see a shit you're doing.
Open your eyes and drive, you stupid bastard.
Come to the fore, and yes, this isn't ideal, but it's not ideal.
The hell are you doing there, Dookie? Playing with yourself again, are you?
Rolling.
Oh,
I'm rolling. Preparing myself.
rolling a fag,
Am I
huh?
right? Oh, not a fag.
We won't
Cigarettes.
talk about Talk about Manchester. We'll park that for
Oh
now.
man. Maybe with my birthday I'd
Any
go
bonus
to
thanks to
Amsterdam
going to
and
Manchester Mayor
Allee,
and of course
if
former
it's
Secretary
even
of State
possible
Health
to
under
go
the
there
last Labour
this
government.
year.
If you're touched by that,
Yeah, as long as you don't go
I was staggered when I asked
anywhere near
one
than
of the
2
team.
meters to a
Sorry,
drug dealer,
when I
you
asked
should be
one of the
good.
team, I was staggered to see
know.
what they'd come up with. If you go in at the wrong time, and you stay
I mean that you can
to
go
park in the London hospital if you're NHS staff. I mean,
Are they letting
anyone
Belgians
is
into
going to
Holland?
feel
Yeah,
£77.
probably doubtful.
Simon Cowell would notice. Well, you probably know.
Yeah, they
But I
let
think
you
that's a
in,
hell of a lot
but
of money to park in Rolls-Royce on the deck, isn't
it's
it?
not
77 quid. How can
like
you possibly
before, of course. They
justify
can
that? And it's not
Well,
really
so
that's
you
like
plug
an
yourself.
Croydon, isn't it? 72
Well, of course.
Chelsea and Westminster.
That's the only way I can get rid of you.
The one down in Camberwell, that's 29.
Keep following me, and always
I think I
you're in
mentioned
front.
Sussex, that's £18. Luton, £20. Epsom and St Heliers, £17.
See the pedal on the right? That's the make you go it faster pedal.
Which is
Yeah.
not evident of the NHS. We'll take your views on that. Also, as we're talking funding,
Believe me, I will push it now a bit.
in England
Oh, okay.
is to see another
That'll be
rise in
interesting, because this
funding
is just my little 580.
with Education Secretary Kevin
Ah,
Williams
yeah.
about that. And then later in the year,
I have my 640,
right,
what is it now?
and then continue straight
Oh,
up.
shit.
You see, I'm pulling over, I'm at 95
Go straight
now.
up.
Pulling yourself off, did you say?
Yeah, and I'm at 100 kilometers an hour now.
Bloody hell.
You?
Break your wrist.
How fast are you going now?
I'm not playing with myself, I'm driving.
Well, how fast are you going now?
85, 84, 83, 82.
80, 90, 93, 4, 89, 100, 102, 104, 105, 6. No, I'm just telling you, how fast are you going?
86, 87, 90.
I'm 108, and I gotta find.
Oh, yes, my truck is so powerful. Oh, shit, the police.
No, you see the difference.
And I haven't changed the transmission on this either, so if I manage to catch you, that's a thing.
We'll try it. I'm at 111, 110, 19. Yeah, it's pretty well with 31 tons.
Oh yeah, what did I carry? Oh, 23, yes.
I had 23, sorry. Yeah, 23 tons.
He's buggered off.
And choose to buy in-store or online. This is the Peugeot power of choice. Experience the all-new Touray, new 3008 plug-in hybrid
No, I'm
SUV,
not.
and all-new 2008 SUV today. Peugeot, let's remain
7 hours 51.
I would say I'll still
My
reach you,
fault,
but I
sir.
don't think so, no.
Ah, then you see the difference in,
This is the moment. A new start.
yeah.
Now the
Yeah,
UK
I've really got to do something with this. Either that or trade it in. But I'm not 25 yet.
Get moving.
Well, I will be 25 now, so, and then I need a bit more money, of course.
Makers, holiday makers, creators, big business, small business.
Are you buying the other Scania or the powerful Scania? What do you already have?
Just under the power.
Keep right, and then continue
Just
straight on.
640. Next one will be the 700 and so much.
Go
Oh,
straight
shit.
on.
Oh, hello. Oh, shit. I'm indicating instead of braking. Whoops.
What? I'm stuck here. Oh, I'm stuck here. What the fuck? What the fuck?
may allow the modification of financial support obligations. We've stepped up our service procedures.
Very professional.
And of course,
Cordell.co.uk.
that's the way you're not.
Oh yes, whoosh, I got a powerful engine, I have crash.
But you see, I pulled myself out.
Yeah, eventually. I saw the struggle and the tears and the crying.
Suddenly the cry.
You did.
My fat ass hurts.
You caught it on the hedge. Try and keep it inside the cap. Splurged out the window. So bad.
Don't you see it wiggling and wobbling?
Can't see anything else. Oh dear.
Keep right, and then continue straight on.
Strict on.
Talk to us today. Call 0800 888
Go straight on.
or visit abcestates.co.uk. As shops open up again, how do we all stay safe? Fontaine runs a craft store.
We've made the shop safe. If you can't keep 2 meters apart, make
Just
sure
lighting a smoke. It only takes a second to almost hit that
no
bloody
number
wall.
of customers allowed in at any one time. Use the hand
then you
sanitizer
know how
at
it
the
feels,
entrance
eh?
and use contactless payments.
Oh dear.
I'm loving serving customers again, but please, to keep us open.
Can you now
stick to
steer
the
with your
guidelines.
keyboards too?
Yes.
If you use your
Control the
yeah.
virus. Save lives. Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060
And in your settings, what did you do there? Keyboard, mouse, keyboard, steering, or?
No, steering wheel. It actually says wheel. It's
I
very
am-
simple. You just plug it in and that's it. 20 years old bloody wheel. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Catch-up fund for children in our schools. Details now from Education Secretary Gavin Williamson, who joins me. Mr. Secretary, thank you. for
Oh yeah, you
coming
don't
on.
have fines, eh?
How much cash? What does it mean
Ah,
for
you
each child and how do
bloody-
they get it? Morning to you.
Well, good morning. £650 million is
Why?
going to be
Oh,
sent
the
to
power in my
all
truck.
schools
Oh,
right
no,
across
please.
England. That's on average £80,000 for your average size secondary school.
What?
£16,000 for your average size. Sort of
First they let me do
secondary
48,
school.
then 97, I start to pull up, then it's 48, and then they flash me. What a dickhead! Really?
So there's going to be a very targeted tutoring program on there, but more broadly, it's about the announcement of
Bloody
extra money
foreignness.
for the next academic year, not actually the one that we're just about to approach, but 2021-2022. The Prime Minister pledged and promised that we'd make sure that all primary
At least the police don't chase you here like they do in American Truck Simulator. That quite surprised me.
The next academic year of 2021-2022, and
The
a
keys out of
minimum of
position. You
£5,000
need
per
to have a
child per
little
secondary
chance.
school. Well, we're hitting that this year and increasing that to £5,150 for the next academic year.
What does the money buy, Secretary of State?
So the money is there to be really targeted at the educational needs of children, and we've looked closely at a lot of the evidence as to how do you help children catch up when they've actually suffered loss in terms of not being in education, not being in school. We all tried our best in terms of home educating, but there's no substitute to being in the class with the teacher in front of it. But one of the things that the evidence has pointed to
Let's hope we don't crash into each other.
being tutored, being supported,
Well, don't do any mirror tricks this time and we should be good. Ouch.
We'd given schools guidance as to how best to spend the money. They've got the freedom to spend it how they wish, but we've really encouraged them to look at how they do these small group tuition, supporting children. You know, one child might be absolutely doing brilliant at English, but is really struggling with their maths or their science. And how do you give them that extra support? That might be outside of school hours, after school's finished. Some schools might even do Saturday camps. It's something that's been trialled in many schools around the country.
You're pretty close.
Yeah, I flashed you. You can come in.
And did you say it's an additional £80,000 for a secondary school? Now, obviously, if you want to give me £80,000,
Now it's up to you to go over me.
But I don't know what the pupil, how many pupils that would be, and how much that would actually bring to a secondary school.
Well, on average, that would translate into £80 per pupil.
Well, it's not going to shoot the lights.
I don't think I can. I had to slow down to let you pass me.
Go straight on.
The veins in your forehead throbbing.
Oh yeah, you like to see my ass wibbling and wobbling, yeah?
£80,000 over.
Break it down per pupil. And then, that's 80. I mean, goodness me, that's almost cost of a haircut.
I don't know where you go.
No, I understand you brought the clippers into the studio.
I'm very disappointed in you, actually. You ran away from me.
That's not a hair, that's a sheep shearer, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, come. And then I mean it if I say come. Then I mean come in front.
That's an implement of torture, Mr. Williamson.
As a former chief, what do you expect? I mean, you wouldn't expect anything classic.
Well, okay, we'll make it happen. You will share up, we will spend money to charity. But just on that point, it's not going to pay for
Power. Volvo power.
What it does, £80,000 to school basic, they could be bringing on,
Yeah, it's your fault.
they could bring on sort of 2 new teachers to be able to
I
Scandal
have
though.
to say,
children in
the
terms of
interior of the Volvo is
they can
nicer.
use it for overtime, for teachers to do extra work, to be able to support pupils. It gives them a little
It's
extra
my house,
flex
I
within
live
their
here.
budget to be able to do targeted intervention to help children. And as I say, we're trying to encourage all schools to be taking a very evidence-based approach. And the work of the Education Endowment Foundation has really paved the way as to how we can make a big difference on children's learning.
Well, good luck with that. While I have the benefit of you on the line, the issues we have with China, which of course primarily affects people, your colleagues such as the Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary, but it does touch your brief as well, because there is a concern that the British universities could now not have Chinese students. That would be a £1.7 billion hole, I understand. Secretary of State.
Well, what we're doing is
I
we're
have to
working
go
right
to the
across
left.
to ensure that,
So, yeah.
that our
You too?
concerns-
Yes, it's where I have to deliver to, so you can wait for us if you want. I can pick up as the load
The
there.
Foreign Secretary will be making a statement later on today. He's been very clear.
Sheffield.
Keep left and then continue straight on.
China's having towards the weaker population in China.
So
Go
you're in
straight on.
front of
We've
me.
also been clear as to our approach in Hong
Yeah.
Kong
How
by
do you
making
mean?
sure that BNO.
Yeah, I have to drive further than you.
Yes, I could only get, this is as far north as I can get, so I need to take
Ah,
another job.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I can
Universities
do.
seem to be nervous at this
Rather than just drive for no money, I thought I would take this sort of
The
job.
centre is incredibly open to all nations, and Chinese students have often come to study here, and we look forward to welcoming them to study here next year as well.
All right.
Yeah, I have to go back.
Any of your family regularly TikTok?
Edinburgh.
Keep left and then continue straight on.
Fuck off, mate.
Go straight on.
Yeah, we don't pronounce it like that, so yeah, you have to watch out for how you speak it out.
Social media, and I did suggest this to my daughter once, and she suggested the best way of me doing TikTok was never to go near it. But my eldest daughter does have TikTok, and she enjoys.
And it's telling you 97. Yeah, right, 97 in this corner.
Speaking with you, thanks for your time, and thanks for bringing the clippers. We will make that happen, although they look loose in terms of talking.
I reckon you do 110 right, no problem.
Let's come back to our conversation.
Yeah, to the vehicle.
Thank you for learning while you're driving.
Oh, you can discover things in Sheffield if you have not been here, huh?
Yeah.
Keep left.
No idea. This road I already have taken.
Oh, right.
And that fallback access is only paid for if the staff use
Oh yeah, Sheffields, no. I didn't do that before.
Right. I see.
If they are using the car park outside the
Should I have? Well, I might have done.
Yeah, sure.
No.
Second thing about this that needs said is the government isn't saying that the NHS trusts must charge staff for using the car park. They're saying they can. It's up to the NHS trust themselves. Some of whose top brass earn $6 billion.
They absolutely do. Sometimes starting in the twos and threes, 200, 300,000 pounds.
I think Brian was thinking of buying this.
I hear what you say.
Everybody in
Serious?
Oh shit! Everybody in the GTA Facebook rooms. Oh, don't be such a twat. I enjoy it. I really do.
You want to tell me what's going on with nurses elsewhere in France?
Go straight on.
Yeah, but he will buy the American
Keep right
version, probably.
and then turn right.
He's watching stream.
Turn right.
Discord.
Fine.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he
So
was
much.
watching your stream.
I don't think I was streaming at the time.
Oh, is that right?
You were streaming, Elsa. I know he was watching my stream then.
Discord, yeah.
No, YouTube then.
He was on Discord. Did you not notice he was in the room last night, huh?
That was 2 days ago that I was there. Okay.
Can I just ask you something? What's the weather like? What's the
I hope you find something here too.
Because I'm stuck in the studio. All I can see is two fairly ugly colleagues that I've had to look at.
At least I discovered a new place.
The female black lad.
Nice,
Her name
thank
is
you.
Nate Thierry from the film Avatar. We call her Thierry, and I'm on Maspel Heath, which
Oh,
is a big
okay.
land of like foresty land in Norwich, which is great because during all the pandemic, people could bring their kids out with trees to climb
So
and
you're just
everything.
looking at woodland now, are you? Lovely.
Yeah, but it's like 2 minutes from my house,
Alright.
which is amazing. And people are very polite. I mean, people are still social
Und
distancing. How did you get the
haben Sie
person who's
das
not
gewohnt?
everybody else?
Well, enjoy the walk. We briefly were with you in the Norfolk woodlands there. Safe
I
walking
got one to
with the dog. Thank you
Carlisle.
for your time.
That's
And
on the
input
way.
as regards France. Our conversation moves on from France to China and China crisis. Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab.
That's on the way.
Conduct a review
Here we go.
of our extradition arrangements and also a range of other measures that we
I
might wish to
buggered
take.
off, huh?
I'll update the House of Commons on what further measures we're taking.
Angry ambassador.
Already?
If a UK government go that far
thank you.
to impose
Yeah.
sanction
With
in
your
China,
speed,
China will
I drive
certainly
80.
make
Not
resolute
any. Oh, I was going to say not
And
anymore.
how
I have no
you
power
been
in this thing
affected by what's
compared to
called
yours.
backlogged Britain delays for passports, registering probate.
Just have to
and
rely on my
driver's
superior
licenses.
driving
Such
skills.
employees.
Oh
On your
shit!
radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's
I
conversation.
drive.
This is LBC.
I'm driving
Bloody hell.
75. You should be able to catch up.
The government has signed a deal with two major drug companies for 90 million doses of potential COVID-19 vaccines. The drugs are still in development and one is in the second phase of trials.
Time to get the job done.
With AstraZeneca for up to 1 million doses of a treatment for people who can't be vaccinated. Cabinet Minister Gavin Williamson says all bases must be covered.
It's right that the government is making the investment and placing these orders with these vaccines so that we have a range of options. So one of the countries is best placed to be able to offer a broad range of vaccines that are going to protect this country from the future.
Driver.
Senior medics have criticised the government's
Just
messaging around face
by.
coverings in England,
Calling
it illogical. They're already compulsory on public transport, and from Friday, they'll also have to be worn in shops and supermarkets. There are no plans to bring in the same rules for workplaces. And the British Medical Association says the mixed messaging will cause confusion, which risks spreading the virus further. An outbreak of coronavirus infection
Goes straight on.
confirmed at an NHS test and trace call centre in North Lanarkshire. Everyone at the site is now working from home while a deep clean takes place, and they will all be tested. The Foreign Secretary is expected to announce later that the UK's extradition agreement with Hong Kong will be suspended. Dominic Raab has carried out a review into the arrangement after China imposed a controversial new security law on the former British territory. Conservative MP Andrew Bridgen says Mr Raab needs to be tough.
We can't be held to ransom.
The next gas station I wait for you.
Oh, good.
Ian.
You go for a dump. I go for a service, yeah.
A man's been charged with attempted murder after a member of staff was stabbed at a hospital in Brighton. The Royal Sussex County Hospital was put into lockdown following the attack yesterday morning. Police said the victim's injuries aren't life-threatening.
Keep left,
Chelsea
and then turn left.
The FA Cup final next month. The Blues beat Manchester United 3-1 in their
Turn
semi-final
left.
last night. In the city, the FTSE 100 has reopened at 62.90 after closing up 39 points on Friday. The pound price $1.12 and €1.09. The weather: a few showers across parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Northern England, but most areas staying fine and dry with warm, sunny spells.
Go straight on.
Celsius. From Global's newsroom, I'm Holly.
How do they count the hours of sleeping then?
Fontaine runs a craft store.
We've made the shop COVID safe.
Already started it.
You can't
As
keep
long as
2
they're
metres
working, I don't
apart.
care.
Make sure it's 1 metre with extra precautions. Know the number
Young
of customers allowed in
seedlings.
at any one time. Use the hand sanitizer at the
seedlings,
entrance and use contactless payments. I'm loving
She's finished in 14 hours.
To keep us open, we've all got to keep to the guidelines.
And what are you playing her?
Control the virus. Save lives.
Oh, sorry. 60 every delivery plus 10.50 a kilometer or something. Let's hope she has a few good things. She goes from Brussels to Newcastle. How many kilometers does it not tell me? No.
Try and get away because loved ones have died overseas and you can't get out of the country, or registering a birth on a happier note, or trying to renew your driver's license or start probate. It's called Backlog Britain. How is it affecting you? To be or not to
Keep right,
be seen in
and then continue straight on.
The imposition of masks 16 weeks after the pandemic is absolutely
Go straight on.
I will not be going into any shops that are going to enforce wearing masks.
In 14 hours she is done, so what hour is it now?
when describing terror attacks.
15.
What are they going to put in this place?
6 o'clock in the morning.
5 and 8. Yes.
Go straight on.
Will they back it up with, for Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab accusing China of gross and egregious
my
human rights
partner.
abuses. His
Ah,
words
there.
against the
350.
minority
Whoa.
Muslim Uyghur
You're
people.
closing
The
it.
diplomatic row between
Never
London and
mind.
Beijing
I'll
escalated.
find a new
There are
route.
No,
signs
I'm going to roll.
preparing to impose sanctions
Well,
on
you can.
Chinese
Ah,
you
officials
don't.
suspected of involvement under the
No,
impression he said that
then I
Magnitsky
wait.
sanctions
I'm
which
parked here,
attract
so
travel and finances as well
70,
and freeze income.
60.
Tensions between the two countries
You're driving like a
came after
maniac.
footage was released
Driving
appearing
way
to
to
show
hell in the back.
Chinese paramilitary style police herding
Why are you
blindfolded and
blocking
shackled
me?
I'm not. I'm
Uyghur
British.
men
This
from
is
a
my
train.
country.
The footage believed to have
I
been
don't
filmed
give
within
a
the
shit.
last couple of
I'm
years.
using that trucker
Came to
voice
light
again.
last year, but there have been a lengthened version posted in recent days.
I'm gonna report you.
This is the, I've mentioned earlier,
For
Foreign Secretary
being
Dominic Raab
British.
speaking yesterday.
It's
Guilty.
clear that there are gross, egregious human rights abuses
Oh, my
going
seats are
on.
so
Does he
much better than
complain?
yours. You got
He's
shit
British.
seats, man.
He's driving in his own
As we
country.
Geneva at the UN, we raised
got shitty
this
seats.
with 27
Mine are
partners.
sporty.
First time it's been done to call out the government of China for its human rights abuses.
I bet your
of the
bed in
Uyghurs,
your
also
cab
in
is
Hong Kong,
pissed off.
and it is deeply, deeply troubling. And the reports and the
I
human
have
aspect
real
of enforced
sports seats,
sterilisation
believe
to
me.
the education camps are reminiscent of something
This
we
is
haven't
rubbish,
seen
that
for a
wagon.
long time.
No,
Chinese
and I
ambassador
have
to the UK, Li Chaoming, was shown
sports
on BBC these videos.
toppy plan.
There's no so-called, pervasive, massive
Right, okay.
forced sterilization
Oh, God, my
among
back
Uyghur
hurts.
people in China. It's totally against
right.
the truth. Government policy strongly
Right, I'll follow
opposed
you.
to this kind of practice.
Yeah,
And
how
I cannot
I'm
rule out,
supposed
you
to
know, single
get away
cases
here.
for any country.
Bugger off,
There's
yeah,
no
like
such
you used to.
a concentration camp in Xinjiang. As I think we discussed it. With regard to that video clip, I'll get back to you.
Oh my
You know,
God,
there's
oh
a
my
lot-
God, turn, you bastard,
you know,
turn.
there's a lot of fake.
Well,
My LBC colleague, Richard, has taken this personally and has been.
pig's ear is that?
And we will speak with him in a moment.
Believe me,
First, to give us
when the
background,
wheels turn in the
we'll
back,
move to the
it's
future of this as well.
much better
Professor
turn.
Hugo de Berg was director of the China Media Centre at the University of Westminster.
And more stabilized
People
with the
talk about
3
tensions.
wheels
What
in
do
the
you
back.
see as the reality of the relationship between London and Beijing? Good morning to you.
Good morning, good morning. I suppose the first point that I would make is that
But yeah, it's your choice.
is to look at the world and to deal with the world in the interests of the British people. And first they should, before making decisions about calling out countries and so forth, they should ask themselves, A, whether what they're saying is in the interests of the British people, and secondly, whether the information on which they base their decisions is really believable, or whether it comes from
Go straight on.
interests. So those are the first 2 points that I would make.
You don't believe that video footage then, Professor, is that right?
Oh, dear.
Actually represents, perhaps it is taking terrorists from one prison to another, perhaps it is not taking terrorists from one prison to taking ordinary people. I don't know. But I don't want our foreign policy
Oh, dear me.
on what might be
Coughing competition.
or what might be propaganda or what might be in interests in interests which are
Indicating, right, I can't reach it, so I'm telling you.
And sort of likening it to a Holocaust. To take your argument, and I understand what you're saying, that the government must look after its citizens, but to take your argument
Oh,
on,
this wheel is so sensitive.
never take part in World War II.
yes, and today, as you probably know, is the anniversary.
I really have to concentrate. It was easier using the keyboard. Really was.
Maybe it depends because my wheel has force that you feel.
Yeah, this one does, but I choose to turn it off otherwise. You can probably hear that. Can you hear that at all?
Yeah, okay, but not really.
Oh, it gets annoying, tell me, because it does feel better with the force.
Yeah, keep your force.
I'm really surprised this thing works.
Pretty awful things. And from time to time, just as any other governments would retreat and do some pretty awful things. But
Why you're stopping?
and something like Nazi Germany is absolutely
Let's slowing down.
That's top speed for me.
Top speed? Really?
Keep left.
Oh, yeah. Overtake if you like.
No, I'm gonna follow you now. Right.
we should
Exit left.
There's another
How else
bloke.
would you describe Chinese paramilitary guards blindfolding and
What
shackling
are you
these
doing?
men?
You have to go left. I have to go right. Straight on. Straight up.
Your GPS will reacquire. That's what I do when I follow you.
It is awful.
No, it's told me to go straight
You
on.
make your own decisions, don't you?
Ah, yeah.
Turn right.
Ah, you buggered off. Okay.
Yeah, because my GPS is telling me.
And where are you going?
I'm grateful for your time. Hugo de Berg, you're Professor and Director of the China Media Centre at the University of Westminster.
Edinburgh.
11 minutes after
Oh, Edinburgh.
Of course, you get weekends up from 12 noon. Who felt it so personally?
Edinburgh.
Joins me now. What did you do, Majid? Morning to you. I'm grand, thanks. Tell me why you felt this so personally in the action you took.
I don't know why they spell it like that, because that doesn't sound just not right. It's Edinburgh, like borough. Borough.
Yeah.
It is, huh?
Okay. I believe you.
Your reaction that we saw yesterday from Dominic Raab, does that give you
I'm glad you did not come my way, otherwise I would stop the car and kill you.
Oh, of course. I will call my brothers. Yeah. Start shitting your pants already.
Yes, Doris and Dorothy. Yeah, your brothers.
But also I want to thank the people who responded so quickly. So the BBC, the Mars Show and others who
Yeah, dude.
Uyghur Muslims being shackled and blindfolded with their heads shaved. Now, the shaved head thing is important to note because in America, of course, 13 tons of illegal human hair was seized in a shipment. And I have long been saying that the accusations that the Communist Chinese Party are open harvesting Uyghurs in an infiltrate global network illegal black market for
3 hours.
and have effectively enslaved Uyghurs in their factories in a form of slave labour. All of that is now coming out. So I want to thank the British public for signing the petition, and I'm heartened now, at least, that the conversation.
And you take a decoy shorter route, I suppose.
It's to Carlisle. It's on the Scottish border.
I'm completely the other side.
What needs to happen next? What do you want to see Boris Johnson or Dominic Raab and indeed Mike Pompeo, who of course, as you know, Majid is in town. What do you want to see come from this?
Well, I think that the most important question isn't the fact that I went on hunger strike. It's why we need to take such a drastic action in the first place. Why were we not having this conversation that has been available since the last year, as have the media reports, not only of the organ harvesting and the 13 tons of illegal hair that was found, but also of the forced sterilizations and the birth control that the Chinese Communist Party has imposed on the Uyghur Muslim community. This is all been out. So the more important question is, why haven't we been talking about a genocide that has been unfolding under our noses for the second time in my life against Muslims? But of course, genocides happen against other communities too. I must say that in China, also the Buddhists, the Falun Gong, and the Christians and other minorities are also persecuted. So I really want to know the answer to the question why we were ignoring this for so long, because there I think that you'll find some very interesting answers.
Lastly, I don't know whether you heard it, but I was speaking with a professor who questions even the veracity of the video, Majid.
Indeed, this is why.
But I think there's a feature in the game that you can use a truck to test it out.
Because of the fact that totalitarian governments are very, very good at covering stuff up like this, what they focus on.
Go straight
Yeah, that you can test a truck before you.
As we heard from their ambassador on Sunday, which was thankfully the very day we passed the 100,000 signature line on that petition, the Chinese government, the Chinese ambassador was being humiliated on air about this genocide. If you could then look at the population in Xinjiang, the way he tripped up over himself in his words is that he was saying the population of Xinjiang has gone up. Yes,
it's going
engagement with cultural and demographic by spending time getting warm here. We've got if you look at specifically the Chinese government's own figures on the Uyghur population, not the population of the province, but the population of the ethnic group we're talking about, that has plummeted in 2 years. And of course we know from credible reports that 1 to 2 million of them are in the worst concentration camps since World War II. We have aerial footage of those concentration camps. We have the Chinese government's own population figures telling us there's been a mysterious decline in the population of the Uyghur. We have women.
My bearings are going on my wheels. The steering was going to double all over the place. Tires need balance.
That's funny.
Such compelling work from you, Majid. Thank you, Majid. No others. Of course, I remind you, also founder of the Quilliam Foundation. You catch him on LBC weekends from 12. Majid, pleasure speaking with you. Look after yourself. We'll take your reactions on that and get into more. Coming back to the UK, what's called Backlog Britain after the 8:15 LBC News headlines with Holly Harris.
The government has struck a deal with 2 pharmaceutical companies to get early access to 90 million doses of a potential COVID-19 vaccine. The 30-year-old man's been charged with attempted murder after a staff member was stabbed at a hospital in Brighton. The Foreign Secretary is expected to announce the suspension of the UK's extradition treaty with Hong Kong later, in response to China's new security law on the former British territory. The weather, showers in northern parts of the UK, dry with bright spells elsewhere, a high of 22 Celsius.
I was thinking maybe it was the load that's limiting my speed limit. You've got the same load. It's just about the horsepower, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I have 100 more, so...
Keep left and then turn left.
Well, I felt the difference between my
turn left
mom truck and this one. And I really have to give this truck to that woman that does long distances.
This is LBC.
Then I can give that truck to somebody who does shorter distances. But eco driving.
People that work in my company are all power drivers.
Test drive in the all-new Ford Cougar plug-in hybrid. Switch from petrol to electric at the touch of a button. Switch between the best of both worlds.
Hey, well, it's Carlisle.
Test drive today. Available at participating
Already?
Ford dealers
Yeah.
until the 31st of July.
Get ready to turn left.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973.
Brakes might be an idea.
As we open things
Turn
up again,
left.
how do we keep safe? Max runs a cafe.
We've worked really hard to make the coffee shop COVID safe. Keep 2 metres apart, or 1 metre with extra precautions. Follow our new one-way system. Use the extra hand sanitizer. And try to stay at your table as much as possible. We can't wait to welcome everyone back. But please, remember the safety guidelines so we can all stay open.
Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives. Eyelids like creamy sandpaper.
Go straight on.
Stinging nettles. Hay fever is here, but not to stay. Get fast relief that starts to work in just 2 minutes with Opticron Hay Fever 2% eye drops. Just 1 or 2 drops, up to 4 times a day. Help keep red, sore, watery, itchy eyes at bay.
Get ready to turn left.
Opticron is available from supermarkets and pharmacies. Contains sodium chromoglycate. Always read the label. Symptoms have been dramatized for effect.
Turn left.
More music next.
If you're an Uber driver, you could be entitled to benefits that you aren't getting. Join the Uber driver's legal claim, and you could get £9,000 on average if the claim is successful. But you've got to be in it to win it. Get what you rightfully own, because you deserve better. Experienced employment lawyers Lee Day believe Uber drivers deserve better. Sign up now. Text partners to 82727 or visit driversclaim.co.uk to find out more. There's nothing like meeting face to face, and there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect and do business across town. Zoom ties together all of your communication needs into one easy
I've got some really stupid things like
phone calls, group
I have to have this special
and your conference rooms.
low cholesterol butter stuff. It's really nice actually.
Keep left and then turn left.
Red lights. That means go in England, doesn't it?
Well, they are just there to shine on the street.
Oh, that's
University. It's all online. You study from home.
It was a nice ride.
Over breakfast in your comfies. Do it.
My GPS is getting freshed up. It was a nice ride.
It's study on your terms. It's for family, the future, the perfect job, a new career, new pay, your degree.
I should have a nervous condition looking at my steering wheel.
It's an Arden degree. Find out more at arden.ac.uk.
Oh, what?
At breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060
How easy this is going to be.
Driver's license to birth certificates. Are you a victim of Backlog Britain? Your stories in a moment. 8:21. Joe's in Wimbledon to talk about the China crisis as it is. Do you think the government's right to take the measures it is? Good morning.
And what is easy to be?
Yes, but then I wonder why they're not
Well,
doing
it's just
it
a weird
for the
parking up
Muslims.
in
I wonder
Dublin.
why they're not doing it in Yemen.
Oh, actually,
We've
it might not
already
be
got
so bad.
several fights on our hands with the Chinese government, and you know there are rumours, but of course nobody knows. They haven't been founded.
Oh, I better cock it up. It's actually quite simple.
That
I'm
has
going
been
to
unleashed.
fuck it up, aren't I?
So
Anyway.
this is one of the things that they can do. I mean, obviously somebody
When you
has to
say
stand up to them.
yes, when you use the word unleashed, you're
Shit, here we go.
suggesting then it was a deliberate act.
Right, that way.
Who knows? But
Right.
you know, it seems
so
that somehow
pants are going
we
backwards.
suddenly sort of put a halt on this 5G thing. That was suddenly in question. There was a question mark over that, and then suddenly, what do you know? This whole thing unleashes. Somebody has to stand up to them. Yes, but you know, we already have a decimated economy. In all sorts of ways, that you know, the country has had a huge upheaval and huge change that will probably just go on and on in some way, shape or form. Do we really need another fight on our hands? And why particularly these people? Obviously, it's terrible what's happening to them.
Well, that's what I have to say to you, lastly. I hear what you say, and a world holding trade with China, particularly given the fact that we're exiting the EU, is certainly giving ourselves some hurdles. But that means we look the other way while this persecution goes on.
God, no damage. What's the matter with me?
We're looking the other way in Yemen. We're looking the other way in all kinds of other places. Also, by the way, this forced sterilisation and stuff like that, and making women have IUDs fitted. How do you think they implemented the one-child policy in China? It wasn't just to those any particular group; it was to everyone.
All right, okay, Joe, perhaps not as strong on sanctions as some others might be. Thank
I don't
you.
have anything that goes to Scotland.
Ali in Slough. Ali, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for taking the call.
Manchester's south of me,
I think this has naked opportunism.
Newcastle.
In terms
It's
of
across,
what's
it's east of
happening
me.
East Turkestan, it's the
I'll have
problem.
to do it.
The Chinese Communist Party occupied them in Xinjiang, which is North frontier.
Ready to roll.
Examples of like they should have been doing a lot more
Shit, that's not where I wanted to go.
Shamelessly asked the Saudis and the Emiratis to externally
yes, you are.
in Yemen.
Oh my God, this steering wheel is weird. Oh God.
And Gaza has been a new Warsaw ghetto.
Can we not see for that program you're telling, so we have the same, or what was it then?
Speditor. Apparently. I'll send it to you later, I'll give you the link or something.
Yeah, through Steam then.
Anything that helps Uyghurs, I'll be very happy. But to paint this as some sort of writing there, maybe we're going to even help all dependent people because we want to help them rather than...
Well, how is it... Okay, hold on. How is the position Britain's taking now helping the United Kingdom?
Slow down, you twat.
It's helping the United Kingdom because this is Cold War 2.0 and Trump and America said...
I don't look good either. No, goodness me. How am I not able to do this?
America and the West are going to play second fiddle.
How can I know? Don't fool you.
Yes. So this is a global challenge for domination.
Damn, that looks close enough.
Ali, also speaking of
won't go up, it's jammed.
It's 8:25. Other matters back here at home. Are you a victim of
Time to hit the road.
11% damage, just so I can cover it.
Housebound and isolated because of chaos at the DVLA. More than 150,000 babies are thought to lack status because parents would not register their births. Travellers are waiting more than 4 months for passports. Some holidays are being cancelled. Grieving relatives are suffering from extra heartache and obtaining probate to administer estates. This is following death. Let's turn to Dr. Claire Gerarda, who is a GP and chaired the Royal College of General Practitioners. Are you picking this up, of course, from medical areas as well, and the stress that it's giving to you and other GPs on the front line, Doctor? Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Yes, of course, I mean, we're seeing it in particular with the backlog in managing our patients with chronic diseases, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, but also referrals into hospital for cancer, cancer tests and treatment. 25. So there is a backlog. We're desperately trying our best to deal with it. There's also issues like childhood immunisations, which
now I can do this.
Are vital if we're going to stop measles reoccurring. So we're trying our best. I think the public have been unbelievably helpful with this. I think they've been unbelievably patient, to use the sort of the same word twice. But
it's either that or...
Well, I mean, I've got some figures here. Cancer research says around 2.3 million fewer tests that help diagnose have taken place. There are 180,000 people in England.
I go for the explosive.
Is it an endoscopy?
An endoscopy is a tube down into the stomach.
To look at your stomach, right? Okay. How is this to be solved?
Well, the first thing we've got to do is make sure that we have a way of capturing the data, so we're not just waiting, to make sure we prioritise, so that people aren't waiting too long. We've got to make
Is she finished sleeping in 11 hours or what?
And we've got to also make sure we have good communication with the hospitals and with our patients. The hospitals are trying their best. They're putting on extra clinics. They're restricted by, for example, you talk about endoscopy, which is a tube into the stomach. When they use it, they then have to deep clean the room. They've got to move it. They've got to they've always had to sterilise it, but they have to even more sterilise it. So there are methodological problems as well. With respect to the cancer tests, I don't recognise, I do see it, but I'm not sure I recognise it. I think some of those are maybe simple blood tests that have been rebadged as cancer tests, because it does seem an awful lot of people waiting. That isn't something, the sort of numbers we're seeing. I'm not saying that it's not important, of course it's important.
I will leave it there, Doctor. Always grateful for your time. Thank you, Dr. Claire Gerarda. You are a GP, and you chaired the Royal College of General Practitioners. Alan in Doncaster, how does this affect you, Alan? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hello, sir.
I am a speak. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, sir. How does
Turn
this affect you?
Well, Nick, my question is this. Throughout the lockdown, our GPs were closed face-to-face appointments. You can ring in and get in a queue and get a telephone appointment with the doctor. And there's no sign of that coming to an end. Throughout that period, the adjoining pharmacy system, the same building, they worked face-to-face throughout this pandemic. They seem to
spit in the face.
My main concern is there's no light at the end of the tunnel. No sign that GPs will not their doors to normal appointments.
And how is that affecting you?
Keep right, and then turn right.
I want to be careful what I say, because I don't want to... My wife's sitting in this morning.
Turn right.
See the stop will go at red light, see?
It's complicated problems to deal with. It's something you can't do.
And of course, this is also, as we heard from the doctors themselves, it's like the care and treatment that they need. Alan, do they give any indication when they might actually help people physically?
No, I've asked the question numerous times, and it's the receptionist. It's obviously
perfect, so I don't buy
Go straight on.
When the last time Boris Johnson said he was firing up, he was firing up, how do you respond when you can't get your wife in to see the doctor?
Well, I don't know who controls GPs.
I have the most powerful engine
in the universe.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Get ready to turn left.
Changing contract made that the case. So I don't know who controls them and who will enforce them to go back to them.
Turn left.
6:50
We'll come back to that conversation.
7:30.
My husband died in a road accident on the 20th of January. Police investigation finished in May. Next year, will there be an inquest so we can register the death? No, not appropriate yet. It's like living in limbo.
Switch that to force off then. Clicking's annoying me.
Right, that conversation will continue. How have you been affected by Brexit, this is called? Also, you're all going to be affected. I think it's this Friday, isn't it? You're all going to be affected. It's this Friday that you have to wear masks if you're going to be out and about in the country, but some people are unhappy.
Whoa!
16 weeks after the pandemic.
We can wait for a second, that's all it takes.
I will not be going into any shops that are going to enforce wearing masks.
I don't think you're going to any shops in reality of all of that. You've got to get some tins of soup. 8:30, you're listening to Breakfast with me, Nick Ferrari here on LBC News Time, Holly Harris.
The UK government has signed deals for 90 million doses of
guy
coronavirus
doing,
vaccines that is still being developed. The new deals on top of 100 million doses of the Oxford University drug, which is being developed by AstraZeneca.
What is he
The
doing?
British Medical Association has warned the government's policies on face coverings are illogical and confusing for the public. From Friday, they'll be made compulsory in shops in England, but not in workplaces.
That could have been
Two
bad.
18-year-olds have been charged with attacking police officers.
Speeding round a corner into
London.
Huntback
Scotland
Bridge.
Yard says Met officers were hit with missiles as they tried to break up the event on the estate in Finsbury Park on Friday.
Why?
A few showers across parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England. Most areas staying fine and dry with warm sunny spells. A high of 22 Celsius.
Monday to Friday from 4 p.m. It is Service on Liberty for you both to work. When you lost the liberty to drive without a seatbelt, you plunged through the windscreen. Were you worried when you lost the liberty to smoke in pubs and get bomb and cancer? But now you're worried about losing the liberty to make other people sick. Why don't you, Peter? Eddie Mayer, Monday to Friday from 4 p.m. on LBC.
If you thought gold was only owned by the privileged few, if you thought you couldn't be the owner of such a precious commodity, think again. At Gold Bank London, we live and breathe gold. Sold 24-karat gold. Offering bars from less than
Farming simulator.
Gold Bank London is the easy way to begin your gold.
Yeah, it was free on Epic a few months ago. So I got it, he got it. I did it for a couple of days and then got plowing the fields, basically. There's a lot to it, though. It's more than you think. But,
yeah,
I
it's
don't
a
know what they want,
simulator, right?
actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think they want about 40, 50 euros for that game. It's all right for free.
Neither do we. Do whatever it takes to help
Terminal
millions of
board.
people living with cancer. Take part in a Macmillan Coffee Morning in partnership with Marks & Spencer. Search for Macmillan Coffee Morning.
Do you know, I think my tractor stood in the field halfway through planting potatoes. I just, right, fuck it. I'm going to be a trucker. Goodbye.
Stop the spread of the virus in our communities. If you've got symptoms, even mild ones, get a test immediately. Don't leave home for any other reason.
Oh, you have a new
If you test
garage, you
positive,
swine.
we can trace the people you've been in contact
Go
with.
straight up.
Oh, then I can play someone from here. Right along.
To get a test, go to nhs.uk/coronavirus or call 119. Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Toby studied his degree online from home with Arden University.
The reason why I wanted to get a degree is primarily I wanted to start my own business as a personal trainer and nutritionist, and I felt that doing a degree in finance would help me achieve that goal. I chose Arden University because of the flexibility that they offered. The fact that you could do it
And where are you now, you?
Newcastle on Tyne.
Do your degree with Arden University.
I couldn't go south, I couldn't go north, so I had to go east.
More music next. If you're an Uber driver, you could be entitled to
Hopefully
benefits
they
that
will
you
have a
aren't getting.
job.
Join the Uber drivers
Get ready to turn left.
£9,000 on average if the claim is successful, but you've got to be in it to win it. Get what you're rightfully owed, because you deserve better. Experienced employment
Turn
lawyers
left.
Day believe Uber drivers deserve better. Sign up now.
What? Only to Holland. 10k and 9k from here. I agree.
Are you in Edinburgh?
So I'm just coming up on 8:35. We're talking more about
You reached there already.
and also whether to be
Edinburgh.
seen in a mask.
Nothing to happen.
No, no,
Get
no,
ready
no, no.
to turn right.
No, where I was left.
Hi there again, Nick. Just like to add a bit of colour onto the house price.
Yeah.
Probably.
Turn right.
obviously caused by stamp duty being cut for the time being, which is good news. Just to say the average London...
Here we are.
Yeah,
Edinburgh,
only
yeah,
there I am.
641,000. That's an increase of about 3,200. Surprises me. Apparently, the house prices up went 3.9%
This is going to be interesting.
I might challenge that at a higher level. But there we are. The UK home prices on the average house price in the United Kingdom is up 2.4% since March. That's against 3.7% on an annualised basis.
Power.
Average price is £320,000. As regards markets, just to say we've got quite a conundrum we've got to address this week. COVID-19, obviously the spike, or the spat, shall I say, between China, Hong Kong, the US and the UK. Unemployment, which is going to be a huge issue, and the vaccine. Are we going to hear from Dr. Sarah or from Moderna in the United States? Just to say we are
you're
AstraZeneca
completely
shares are up
different
1%.
way.
We have got Rightmove, which I thought was worth mentioning. Shares are up 42% since the 23rd of March, just down 0.71%. Marks and Spencer is likely to lay off a few people, and that share at the moment is up. Oh no, I beg your pardon, down 2% at 96p, and the FTSE 100 as we speak is down 59 points at 623.
Talk tomorrow morning. Thank you, David Buick.
No, I've done it again.
At breakfast. Call 0345 6060973.
Let's talk China. Roger in Brentford. The government of the UK has made the same protests over the Rohingya
I'm going to leave
the
this
Saudi government's involvement in Yemen.
All right, well, I'll leave it up in Aberdeen then or something, or Edinburgh.
In fact, China, like many other states, has been a violator
I
of many
just
human
go
rights
to
for
my
centuries.
garage
The world needs to
or
rise
no,
up.
I
Ethnic
stay at
cleansing and
this
aggressive
place.
reorientation
And
of
I
groups
start tomorrow
who seem
from
very
here.
peaceful is inexcusable. Why are our politicians still facilitating China on so many commercial levels, you say? Well, 5G went away last week, didn't it? Shubik in Eltham on this. You're on the radio. What are you going to tell me, Shubik? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, there are other humanitarian crises.
Still nothing to Aberdeen.
Particularly in Yemen and Syria.
Impossible.
In England, the labour conditions were
Tomorrow maybe different things.
Yeah, they run out. Oh, it says here 8 hours 10 minutes, 5 hours 47, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and then you get a new one.
Or I could use that program, Speditor, and just fill in what I need, I suppose. See if that works.
Apple products, I think that the system should be sent to send inspectors into Chinese factories to see the conditions within which
they won't let them in. But they won't let them in. I very much doubt the Chinese authorities would let European inspectors in.
Yeah.
That's a conversation that European.
But when China says no, whatever Chinese is for no, what does the UK government do then?
Drive safe.
Then we need to consider whether we don't know what the Chinese will say in this.
Well, come on, they're going to say no. Take it from me, they say no. Shubik, what does Britain do then?
Then we have to decide. We have to decide whether or not we buy Chinese products.
Well, where else are we going to get stuff?
Other European countries.
Where else are we going to get stuff?
With other countries.
Honestly, you go to, I don't know about your wardrobe, but certainly if you go through many of your electronic equipment in your home, a lot of it will be made in China or have components made in China. We may as well go back and live in the caves if we decide to close down trade with China.
Okay, on my account I have for the moment 19,000.
Also, a lot of PPE is made in China and Hong Kong.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's another. I mean,
it's
appalling the way these people.
Profit 7 days, 357,000. 57,000.
I think it's got to be more. Well, possibly work with Mike Pompeo might be the way forward. Shubik, thank
Garages
you.
count 2, trucks
count
count 2, trailer count 8,
if we were having this
driver count 2.
You all have to be wearing your masks as of today. If you go into stores or you go to your petrol station, it is mandatory. That happens here in the UK as of Friday, but some people are unhappy. Let's go to the demonstration in Hyde Park over the weekend.
We are campaigning for the restoration of the return of our rights and liberties. The imposition of masks 16 weeks after the pandemic is absolutely ludicrous and does not make scientific sense and was the tipping point.
I think the longer they drive, the more you get,
You're supposed to pay a fine if the fine is valid, but I will not be going into any shops that are going to enforce wearing masks.
I should get to Slovakia.
Ella Whelan, who's a columnist at Spiked Online. As of Friday, we might be wearing one already. As of Friday, will you be wearing a mask? Hiller. Good morning.
Morning. Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I don't want to be fine.
Turn left.
And I think most people do want to be considerate. And it's
Turn left.
anecdotally walking around, you can see that people are very aware it's been sensible, like if you're packing together on the tube. But if you're in an empty section of Tesco's, it's more likely than not that you see people pulling them down over their noses to breathe better when they're reaching for
At the
cereal.
roundabout,
And the whole point
take the
of this
third
move to
exit.
make it mandatory is actually what it's the truth of these slightly eccentric protests that happens in high-class
Still here?
Recomputing.
crazy ideas around 5G and anti-vax stuff. All of that
Keep left and then turn
Yeah,
left.
because I closed the program, but Steam was still open. That's why.
Turn left.
Where should I send that spreader to, I think? Should I just send you the link through Steam, because you don't have Facebook anymore?
Yeah.
Keep
left and then turn left.
For people to be resistant to this, because you have to remember that wearing
Turn
a mask
left.
is incredibly abnormal for us. In some cultures and in some countries, it's become normalised. But for us here, it's abnormal for good reason, because it feels very antisocial, very difficult to read people.
Get ready to turn left.
And there has not been convincing medical evidence to show
Turn
that
left.
this is absolutely necessary. But if we kind of rewind back just a few weeks and months, the WHO itself is saying, no, this isn't the way to go, this isn't going to stop the virus. So I think for most people this feels like an
At the
attempt for the
roundabout,
government to look
take
like
the
it's
third
doing
exit.
something, rather than this actually being a serious measure to stop the virus.
Oh dear.
It
Okay.
sounded that, the lockdown, for example, that
Exit
seemed
now.
something that needed to happen at the time, and most of us in this country agreed to go along with that. There's more evidence comes out to show that perhaps the government hasn't been right in some of the measures that it's
You're
taken.
gonna send it
A
now,
further
or you're
infringement
gonna
on
send
our
it
freedoms,
later?
and this is rather unpleasant thing of having to
I'll have to send it
have this
later.
very antisocial thing happen when we're all wearing masks. I think people are going to resist it, and I don't think that makes you a
Can't really
solid idiot.
stop anyway. I'll have to. I get
We
booted.
columnist spiked online. It's put it to you, signed in order. Are you going to wear one?
Yeah, it seems to work.
Good morning. No, I'm not going to wear one.
I found my profile eventually. That's all you need. You just load it. It's very much like the other thing. I'll talk you through it later. Sound like you're falling asleep.
Sorry?
Sound like you're falling asleep there.
Yeah, that's why I said I
Keep left
leave it for
and
now.
then exit left.
If I start up a job, then I don't get money from it. I had it
I need to
earlier.
go, but I stupidly accepted it.
Exit left.
So I had it earlier, Ian, and that was a very short time. So I took a job, and it was in single player. I went out of the game. Yeah, maybe for 15 minutes I was a bit watching YouTube. Then I went online and I started driving again. And I delivered and I was too late.
Yeah, I've had that twice, and I'm sure it's something to do with swapping from single player to multi.
No. Yeah, but by the time, the calculation, the 15 minutes, it was like I had 15 hours driven in that time. The counter keeps going. It's like you had with your 55 hours to read.
Yeah, I mean, how the hell is that possible? I need to go on the track.
2 days, my goodness.
So that company sold me something that should have been there a couple of days ago. And I drove it there for free, basically.
Ian, even it was 2 days and a half, huh? That's 24 hours, 24 hours. That's 48. That's
Much the same as it is.
2 days and a half. 2 days.
I was driving that far.
Mirrors that, doesn't it? We'll take your views upon that. Equally 5 LBC News headlines are next.
The government has struck a deal with 2 pharmaceutical companies to get early access to 90 million doses of a potential COVID-19 vaccine. A 30-year-old man's been charged with attempted murder after a staff member was stabbed at a hospital in Brighton. The Foreign Secretary is expected to announce the suspension of the UK's extradition treaty with Hong Kong later, in response to China's new security law on former British territory. The weather showers in northern parts of the UK, dry with bright spells elsewhere, a high of 22 Celsius.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb. In Wood Green, Lordship Lane has been closed in both directions. Right near to Vincent Road is because of an accident. As a result, it is very busy in the area. Delays continuing south northward in both directions on Church Road because of the temporary traffic lights. And on the M25, there are clockwise queues from junction 5 and M26 to the Hackney services. And that's for the roadworks.
Yes.
Delays continue on southwestern railway services between Staines and Windsor and East Riverside.
Watching while I can fall asleep.
We understand that life returns to normal. It's a little bit different for everyone.
Ah, cool.
You might feel good being out
And I hear myself. Nice. Ah, there's a dislike. Yeah.
Perhaps it's even a good time to consider moving. Right now, what matters is being wherever you feel most comfortable.
Here we go. Look, see.
And wherever that
They try
is,
it,
the
don't they?
Halifax are here to help. Online, on our app,
I'm watching
over the phone,
now,
or
yeah.
in branch.
30 seconds too late. Yeah, they're trying. Did you say it?
Yes, last place I was at.
So if you crash into him and you reload, he's fucked.
Probably doing the same trick, but it doesn't take too much to work that one out.
Fancy a casual bike ride? Or perhaps something a little more intense? Or maybe you want a relaxing day out.
Oh, why did I choose another job? I need to go home.
Enjoy it again safely. Find out how at gov.uk/.
Only 1,300 kilometers to go. Oh, my.
We're helping our clients adapt their business strategies.
Go straight up.
The best ways to cope with the immediate and long-term impact of COVID-19. To arrange a free consultation with one of our partners,
We're helping our clients, adapting our business.
visit barnesroof.com.
That you heard 30 seconds ago, probably. I muted, how's it strange to hear me twice.
And lately, we've been listening
It's
to
nice to watch.
because thumbs can do everything now.
Oh, I wanted to stop there.
So now, the 900 Plus app lets the thumbs in control of your car too. Even when you're not inside the car, your thumb is
Steering so sensitive.
Set the temperature before you get in, check how much the battery is charged, and schedule charging for when electricity is cheapest. The new 100E and 900 Plus app. Oh, the thumbs up. Under the power of dreams.
More music next. If you're an Uber driver, you could be entitled to benefits that you aren't getting. Join the Uber driver's legal claim, and you could get £9,000 on average if the claim is successful. But you've got to be in it to win it. Get what you're rightfully owed, because you deserve better. Experienced employment lawyers Lee Day believe Uber drivers deserve better. Sign up now. Text partners to 82727 or visit driversclaim.co.uk to find out more.
Authentic Lebanese cuisine by Marouche. Exquisite comfort food. Our restaurants are open for takeaway and deliveries.
Drooping off here.
We'll try and get it to you. Call in or order through Uber Eats, Deliveroo and Just Eat. Enjoy legendary Lebanese food at home from Marouche. Fancy recreating your own dishes at home? Discover the authentic ingredients imported from Lebanon that we have available at Marouche.com.
Exit. With your steering.
Keep left and then turn left.
Probably smoother than a keyboard.
What about 11 minutes before 9 the time, Eugene?
Turn
I'll
left.
you about face masks in a moment. But what's a common theme
that's
across
much
the show
more.
so far? Trade. Whether it's our response, what Britain does in regards to tensions between London and Beijing, whether it's the terrible calamity of jobs that we heard in the first hour, 500 from this front, 500 from that front. I think in the conversations we had with David Buick at City
There you go.
over 2,000 jobs. Not like that. So we need to get
Your
trade.
pinkish vehicle.
As much as the World Health Organization is vital in the fight against COVID-19, so the World Trade Organization will play a key role in getting this country, and indeed, obviously, by dint of its ties with the whole world too.
the right side it seems purple, but the left side it seems pink.
Ah, it's a mixture of paints.
Yeah, it's
one has to say, proper Brexit campaigner too, Dr. Ian Fox, who joins me now. Am I right in saying, Dr. Fox, that this is the first time that the UK has ever possibly been in the running to be the boss of the WTO? Good morning.
Good morning. No, we've had the Director General before, but not in recent decades.
So it will be some time. What would you bring to the post, and what would be the biggest challenge? We've been talking a lot about the global trade position at the moment, Dr. Fox, and you will know better than most. It's a grim horizon out there.
It is. In fact, global trade was actually contracting towards the latter end of 2019, before the COVID crisis even began. And since the end of the financial crisis, we've seen a gradual increase in protectionism, I have to say, largely amongst the world's biggest countries in the G20, and that has resulted in problems in the trading system. So we need to recommit ourselves to the basic principles of free and liberal trade, and also to a rules-based organisation, and then find ways to make that organisation work better. These are the basic elements that we have. Then, of course, on top, we'll have all the problems that we have with the COVID crisis and the additional challenge of helping to...
Somebody parked in the road here as well.
It's not an easy agenda that is there, but we believe that the United Kingdom has a very constructive ideas.
I will catch up in 30
as well as our commitment to the very most basic
I can't see him yet, but I can slow down.
The organisation was established in the first
Oh, they're just
yeah, I see what you mean.
Your impeccable Brexit credentials and background, will that assist, or do you think that will hinder you?
In the middle of the road.
It's a very interesting point. No, don't take this wrong when I say that we have questions.
Go straight up.
Except not the place to stop in a corner.
Particularly.
The rest of the world,
Oh,
Britain and the EU, they are much more concerned about the big global problems that exist at the moment, and I think we do well to still focus on global issues and not obsess about the relationship with Europe quite so much. And of course, our European partners are faced with exactly the same global issues on many of the same solutions, and I find a great deal of support from our European partner nations.
Keep left and then turn left. Turn left.
If there are restrictions in that system.
Were you sat around the cabinet table, and I appreciate no one sat around the cabinet table at the moment anyway, but were you there, what would you be saying the British government response should be to some of the issues and tensions between London and Beijing?
Well, I think you need to differentiate between different issues. So issues like Huawei, for example, that is entirely a UK decision. What we do in terms of 5G, network influences there are finalised markets, the United States and Canada, Australia, New Zealand. When it comes to Hong Kong, that is a bilateral issue. We have a treaty obligation to issue China is upheld. So both Britain and China have responsibilities there. It's quite right that we should hold China. But in terms of trade, the World Trade Organization is there to ensure that we keep global trade moving in the right economy. And we need to remember that the WTO is not the United Nations, it's not the Security Council. And we need to limit these global organizations to the functions that they were designed for. And if we allow Italy issues...
Normally you should be able to...
It's very difficult to understand why we have separate institutions in the first place.
When is the decision made, Dr. Fox?
Well, it's a very good question. It is not regarded as a normal election. There are rounds of different rules. In the first round, the next level we get to comes between the 7th and the 10th of September. There will be further contests therefore into October, maybe even into November. It should be done and dusted for the American election, but as you know as well as I do these days, it's a very vanity attempt
Keep left.
on any election.
It's like electing a pope. It's incredible. It takes forever.
Well, I said it was somewhere between
At the roundabout, take the third exit.
Electoral mechanism somewhere in the middle.
Good luck. Hope you get it. Dr. Liam Fox, thank you. You're former International Trade and Defence Secretary, Conservative MP.
Exit
vying as
now.
UK's nominee to be the next Director General. It's been
yes,
of the World Trade I'm sure it's come back to us.
Good, I think
You've got to wear a mask, so there's no point me asking you, do you want to? But how do you think, what do you think about it as of Friday? Eugene and Stephanie, thank you for hanging on the line. Eugene?
Just a quick one to say regarding this.
Get ready to turn left.
Completely appalling. It's like, it seems like pennies haven't dropped yet. I'm sure
Turn
it's
left.
minority that do that, but usually as a minority made to most of the
Oh shit, foreigner.
in this case, the death toll in the country
Shit happens.
is so huge. And to protest wearing a mask in the face of a real threat of a real virus, it's completely crazy. But at the same time, I'm not surprised because the leadership was giving such misleading and chaotic guidance to the nation. I'm not surprised that people are taking and shouting liberty. What liberty is that? This is completely misplaced perception of liberties. That's my view.
Okay, do you think
Never
you should
mind.
have been wearing a long time
I'll
ago?
find a new route.
Of course, yes, and we should wear it now because
even though, I mean, by the way,
virus is bringing.
Yeah.
We don't know where it takes us.
but there's still
middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah, but you do agree people need to start getting back to work, don't you?
Reroute.
Time in the morning.
You do agree people need to start getting back to work.
Of course.
Okay, let's find a new route.
With precautions.
Yes. Yeah, well, indeed. And if this helps people
What do you mean?
if this gives them
Europe
confidence
is usually full,
and the
like
children
30,
get into
40
schools and
people.
people to get into the factories, and obviously it's a
I don't see anybody near me.
Thank you. Stay with this conversation. Nick in Wanstead. Nick, you're on the radio. Good morning.
I agree with the last caller.
Yeah.
I've been wearing my mask ever since the pandemic started, and I'll continue wearing it. I didn't actually see the news with the protesters that were getting it, but I just think they're just not an idiot to be out protesting and approach. I think the only reason we didn't
Get ready to turn right.
in the vote vote was because the government were afraid that we would pay quite a mask.
Yeah, you have to sort your wheel
Turn
out.
right.
See what it's like.
Although you're probably right.
Sorry?
Of course,
You have to try your wheel if you've got one somewhere.
So if they could have said,
Ah, yeah,
could
I
easily
will
have said that
try.
we've been
Probably
masks
through
for
out.
2 weeks, if not longer.
Get ready to turn left.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I just when I go to
This
the
place is
supermarket,
usually
Turn left.
I always have a mask on,
Yeah.
and I'm constantly telling people you still need to stay 2 meters away from me
Right.
when they come in.
What? You're already at the port? Or what?
Europort. Yeah.
The 2 metre thing, let me tell you, as someone who just
Well,
got
it
to play
depends
last night, 2 metre thing is
on
ludicrous.
the
No
hour.
one stay 2 metres
I
from
can tell you
Don't want to
quickly.
know.
He's back online.
And lastly, the Prime
Yeah,
Secretary
just
spoke
to
one of the
give you an
newspapers
idea
yesterday,
how
Sunday
many people
Telegraph, and he seemed to indicate that we'll be wearing masks at
Later
least
one
until
was it,
October,
yeah.
November. He didn't even say that they won't be off by Christmas. Would you be comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Why? Don't you want to go back to normality?
Yeah, I'd love to go back to normality, but I don't want a second spike.
Right.
1534.
That's not too heavy.
Yeah. No.
I'd rather just still get pandemic, still die, maybe a lot less numbers. We need to
Close it
control
from
it.
here? From the
Well,
begin
we will
screen?
see. Obviously, people watching quite rightly those numbers with great interest. Nick, thank you for that. The conversation will move on.
A common way of people here. This could
Police
get messy.
dropped the term Islamist when describing terror attacks. So with what would they replace it? 1 in 4 would refuse, if they discover it, to have a vaccine for COVID-19. Here's Professor Robin Shattuck.
The UK government have invested in developing this vaccine and will likely invest in being the first customer at risk for this vaccine.
And the benefits of cannabis oil, as it is reported, the NHS is set to manufacture its own. Those stories and more after 9 o'clock news.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Sahilin olay yerine yakınız, geliyoruz.
Yeah, now it says to 7:30 once I upgraded my truck to that one.
From Global's newsroom at
driven it yet?
Gets early access to 90 million
Yeah, a
doses
bit
of
around
potential
town.
COVID-19 vaccine. A treatment for those who can't have a
Probably
jab.
will feel a big difference from 600 horsepower to 700.
Says it is possible a jab may never be found though.
There's no vaccine against
Then
malaria,
once I have
against
enough,
these
I buy
diseases we know
another
well.
one.
So there is no
So you're
expectation
better
that
off.
this definitely can be done,
Ah, no,
but the early
better
data that we're
pay
seeing is
directly.
definitely encouraging.
A new NHS research registry has been launched to encourage people to take part in clinical trials. An outbreak of coronavirus infections has been confirmed at an NHS test and trace call centre in North Lanarkshire. Workers in Motherwell have been told to work from home for the time being. Our reporter Rebecca Cook has more.
NHS Lanarkshire says it was told about a number of potentially linked cases yesterday when 3 new cases were confirmed in the Health Board area. The NHS Test and Trace Office is now being deep cleaned and all staff will be tested for COVID-19 today if they haven't been already. Their work at the call centre involves calling people in England who might have been infected. Now their own contacts are being traced.
2 factories in Blackburn and Port Talbot have been commissioned to start producing face coverings ahead of new rules coming in England. From Friday, they will be mandatory in all shops and supermarkets. The government's investing £14 million in the production lines. The Foreign Secretary is expected to announce later that the UK's extradition agreement with Hong Kong will be suspended. Dominic Raab's carried out a review into the arrangement after China imposed a controversial new security law on the former British territory. A man's been charged with attempted murder after an NHS worker was stabbed in a hospital in Brighton. All Sussex County Hospital was put into lockdown after the attack yesterday morning. There are reports Marks and Spencer is planning to announce hundreds of job cuts this week. Several thousand roles are expected to be lost over the coming months as the retailer accelerates an ongoing restructuring of the business. John Lewis, Boots and Debenhams have all recently confirmed job losses. In the city, a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was trading down 47 points, 62.42. The pound buys $1.25 and €1.09. The weather, a few showers across parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England, but most areas staying fine and dry with warm sunny spells. A high of 22 Celsius. From Global's newsroom, I'm Holly Harris.
As we open things up again, how do we keep safe?
Yeah, I like the colour of this
One's a cafe.
kind of.
We've worked really hard to make the coffee shop COVID safe. Keep 2 metres apart, or 1 metre with extra precautions. Follow our new one-way system. Use the extra hand sanitizer, and try to stay at your table as much as possible. We can't wait to welcome everyone back.
Здорово, мужики.
Remember the safety guidelines, so we can all stay open.
Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Oh, you can look that thing up. Speditor. I can give you the spelling if you wish.
From Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
43 minutes after 9 on Monday, July the 20th. As it is reported, the police could
Who is
drop the
that?
word Islamist
Yeah, I
when describing terror attacks.
Yeah,
I'll be asking
more
what word would they replace it? Plus extraordinary news if they find, or when, let's say when they find the vaccine for COVID-19, reportedly 25% of Brits could refuse to have it. Would you? Certainly. And staying with health matters, as the NHS is reported to be to manufacture its own cannabis oil, we'll explore the benefits or, of course, the concerns about that product.
Speditor.
Breakfast. Call 0345 60 60 973. Text 84810.
Yeah, have a good read, but it's pretty. I can't even say it.
It's only a word.
Pretty straightforward.
It's deeply derogatory and pejorative using it in that way. The word, well, it's 2 words actually: Islamist and jihadi.
Once you found your profile,
today,
of course.
The police are looking to drop those terms, Islamist terrorism and jihadis, when describing attacks by people who claim Islam as their motive.
They told me to do.
Claim their view of Islam. Let's put that there as their motive. Proposed alternatives. Now, I'm speaking as an old newspaper man, old journalist, in every sense of the word. So brevity is all when you're writing stories, okay? Or indeed when you're writing what's called a script to read a bulletin. Brevity is all. So instead of jihadi, we would have, or Islamist terrorism, we'd have faith-claimed terrorism, terrorists abusing religious motivations, or adherents of Osama bin Laden's ideology. Poor Holly Harris having to read that as a news bulletin. News reaches us now of an attack from adherents of Osama bin Laden's ideology. People, what the hell does that mean? What the... He's dead, isn't he? What's that all about? News reaches us now as Islamic bomb attack. Oh, right, no, I've got that. I know exactly what that's all about. Thank you. Oh, awful, dear God. How many people are dead? News reaching us now of terrorists abusing religious motivations. No, it's an Islamist terror attack. Isn't it? Your views in a moment.
Oh.
Dal Babu is founder and former chairman of the National Association of Muslim Police and served as a chief superintendent with London's Metropolitan Police and joins me now. It's only a word, Dal. Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any change in the word. I think the difficulty is where people have been trying to find the correct term or a term that's acceptable to all people, but I think in a way your introduction to this subject was explained why the police won't change it because they'll be ridiculed. I think the difficulty has been when you look at the UGA, terrorism, terrorist violence, it was often carried out by people who claim to be Christians, but we never talked about the Christians. We talked about the UGA. And so, these groups are using terms and this refers to a group of people who use terror and violence. I think the challenge is...
China boy just cut me up something terrible there.
The term that refers to spreading the faith of Islam. And people have now used that to people who are terrorists. I think that becomes more difficult to deal with.
I mean, you perfectly valid use of the Northern Irish equivalent, but of course, Dal, you'll probably know even better than I that was very much politically motivated. That was trying to bring about what's called a united Ireland. This, although it is a gross misrepresentation of it, this is perceived as being faithful. That's fair, isn't it?
Well, it's perceived, and that's the key word, perceived, because, if you look at ISIS or...
Oh my goodness.
Go straight on.
People, it's horrific. So it's not a true reflection of Islam. It's nowhere near it. So I think the difficulty is there will always be people who want to name. I appreciate this is going off the subject, but I just had a discussion last week with somebody who just like the term BAME.
BAME?
Yes.
What's the matter with that?
Well, they did not. They said black and Asian was okay, but minority I think was too diluted. So basically, no matter what happens, is that people will challenge terms. But the key thing is that at the moment, the vast majority of people understand what the terms mean. I don't think there'll be any change soon. I think we'll have this debate for some time, but ultimately it's about getting the trust of the community to stop their terms.
Lastly, on that point, how important is it that listeners to a radio or TV show or the readers of a report in a newspaper are told that it is part of these people's perception of the faith?
Well, I think that's more important than the actual name. And I think these people claim to be involved. To look at the IRA or the UDA, it says there's nothing in the Bible that says you've got a bunch of soldiers and killers, civilians. And I think it's the same with...
Keep left and then continue straight on. Go straight on.
Thank you. Founder and former chairman of the National Association of Muslim Police and served as the chief superintendent with the Met, London's Metropolitan Police. Listening to that is Nick Aldworth, who was also with the Met as the chief superintendent, was former national counter-terror coordinator. How important is it to use the words as
go straight on?
Fair depiction of jihadis and others. Morning to you.
Good morning, Nick. I've a very simple view of this, which is if it looks like a fish, swims like a fish, and smells like a fish, it probably is a fish. If you start trying to describe it as much else, you just sow seeds of confusion. And importantly, you also dilute the message into communities who might get help with protection of evidence. If you start describing things as faith-based terrorism, public from whom we rely enormously on assistance and help in both collecting evidence and intelligence, we'll start to wonder, well, okay, does this apply to me or not?
I wonder, Nick, you may be, but I don't know. I wonder if you'd feel differently if you were a Muslim.
So, I'm not, and I think it's a really fair call, and I think the point you were making a little bit earlier around it is really important that when we talk about these things, we have clarity, but we don't for one moment suggest that these are views representative of a whole religion. And I do understand how people feel stigmatized.
Keep right, and then exit right.
Irish Republican terrorism. Yeah, that wasn't faith-based terrorism, it was nationalist and
Exit
unionist-based terrorism. And of course, every Irish person in London became stigmatised as a terrorist over the sort of 70s and the 80s. And you're absolutely right, that's not acceptable. But a lot of that is down to, sensationalist reporting, I think.
Right, lastly, you served in counter-terror at the highest level. When people who are supporting this move, that is to say they want to see the words jihadism and Islamic terrorism, because they say it does bring about perceptions and it does lead sometimes to unrealised stereotyping and discrimination and Islamophobia. Do you think they might be onto something?
So I think it's really important to have the debate. I think it's absolutely important that everyone gets a chance to be listened to. I was reading reports out this morning and looking at all those involved in the debate. I know many of them really, really well. They are moderate people, they're intelligent people, and they will make the right choices based on what is best for counter-terrorism.
Thanks for your time, Nick Aldworth, your former National Counter-Terror Coordinator and the former Met Chief Superintendent. Let's get into more of the people who are supporting this. And I'll give you those ideas, alternatives, no ideas, ideas, the alternatives. And again, this is speaking as someone who's written a lot of stories down the years. Whether you like it or not, and it is not the true representation of the faith of Islam, but these people perceive that it is. And if you have someone who is prepared to strap explosives to themselves and then blow themselves up as children are leaving a pop concert, or people are getting onto a train or a bus, and in some instances their last words are Allah Akbar, it's not wrong, is it, to make the connection? Now, it's not the true faith, of course, we know that. But what is the point of dancing around? Roger and Brentwood. Roger, on the radio. Good morning. I'm all right, sir, and I'm interested in what you think about this idea of doing away with these words jihadis.
Keep right, and then exit right. Exit right.
Religious nerve or whatever, that's wrong. A terrorist is just a terrorist. It doesn't really matter what they're claiming, and it doesn't really help the issue by saying, oh, they're an Islamic, or they're a white fundamentalist. It's just a terrorist at the end of the day.
Don't we want to...
That's this guy earlier.
Now you press him again then. He seems to be driving slower than now you press him again.
A terrorist blew up Manchester Arena, killing God knows how. It was an appalling story. And you don't want to know any more detail about why he did it?
No. Doesn't matter why he did it, as long as he's either Paul or...
Well, he takes his life, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Right.
But how does that help?
How can you combat if you don't know the causes? How can you beat it?
What? How can you
combat it?
You can't combat radical terrorism.
Well, of course you can.
We haven't been able to combat radical. In the 1930s and 40s, we fought the Nazis. Did we, having them pinned in Berlin, finally make a give up?
His own phone, it's very slow.
And that's what radicalised people do. You can't fight an idea.
Well,
Got the money,
you just want to
take up the
ignore
level.
it. You don't ignore it, though.
It's not ignoring it.
It is.
Yeah, which level do you have?
just want to know that the bomb's gone off. You don't even care who's done it. Okay, well, it's up to you. Respectfully, I think you're wrong, but let's see how this thing goes. That's what it's all about. Is it, Roger?
First thing you think about in the morning is coffee and then trucking.
I'm waddling off with my fat ass
around Europe.
Yeah,
On the back of a
I
trailer.
see wibbling and wobbling.
Go
in my
straight up.
It was an earthquake.
Discriminated against as a result of that. We'll take your views on that. It's 9:15.
With the mirror touch, that was literally I swear it, like you were driving, I stopped, I went completely in the air, the front, and back down, I was standing still.
That's
Just by hitting the mirror. Whoa.
Yeah, you just touched it. That's it. So, tuduk, like that. That's what they did. Tuduk.
22 Celsius.
And for me it was another view.
On the M4 westbound between junctions 5 at Langley and 6 at Slough.
God, are we there yet?
Has broken down. Very busy in South Norwood on Church Road in both directions because of the temporary traffic lights. And in Byfleet there are lengthy delays on the A245 in both directions, and that's also for temporary traffic lights. Very busy on the North Circular Road westbound at the A10 junction, and also better news in Wood Green. The lanes have reopened on Bishop Lane, so quite busy in the area.
90 is my top speed with this thing on the back. That's what it is. Used packaging, 20 tons of used packaging. That's what it is.
Network Rail is upgrading the signalling through Hithergreen between Saturday the 25th of July and Sunday the 2nd of August. Buses will replace trains for essential travel between Lewisham, Sidcup and Orpington. You may face longer journeys
You
and
can't
queues for
feel the
buses
difference
and
because
buses
I
as
didn't
well.
have
So, if
trouble
you
to
don't
reach
have
Mountain.
or celebrate a birthday from 3 months
I
ago,
just can't.
please travel
My
along
limit.
if possible.
This trailer,
Go ahead
90.
networkrail.co.uk
I've been over 90
Hithergreen.
at any point.
The southeast upgrade, a better
Dragging this
railway
thing.
is in the works.
Your company's doing pretty well. Your tax position's okay. So what's keeping you awake at night?
To face
I'm
the future
gonna
with
do
confidence,
something.
talk to Vision Consulting.
Send
We
me
expand
that
your
so you see the difference.
with clients from the fishmonger to the multi-million-pound property investment company. And our growth as a firm,
Go straight up.
accountants and registered auditors, is based on our passion for our clients' business.
Have confidence in your accountant. See visionconsulting.co.uk.
Oh, did you find that Predator thing?
Next. If you're an
Keep left and then continue straight on.
Predator.
Go straight on.
Apparently works every time.
I send you the link of YouTube so you see the difference between Scania.
82727 or visit driversclaim.co.uk to find out more.
Peoples of the UK, if you can't come to pizza, pizza must come to you. Sergey, what have we got today? Margaritas. Sergey, we have drinks later. I mean, what kind of pizza? Milk and Meals now give you 50% of pizzas at Papa John's and Pizza Hut delivery. All week, delivering
Screen.
all collection.
Let's see where I'm going now, thank you.
Compares the market.
No problem. Do you want me to send it again?
No.
7 days a week, £30 minimum free discount, or via the app membership, T's and C's apply.
Never.
You join us today on the Home Theft, our back garden. Sam, 13 years old, is attempting to break his own Keep You Happy garden record, unbeaten for the last 2 years. Looking good, Sam, looking good. Just 2 more to go. Oh no, we've got a pitch invader. He's stolen the ball. Unbelievable, Jeff.
Adidas tracksuit and trainers from Very.
Backyard own goal from Buster.
Visit very.co.uk.
Keep right and then exit right.
You can do it here. Falling asleep.
Exit right.
Car parking charges for NHS staff.
Go straight on.
For now,
Keep right.
charges. Those in the main line of tube stations, it's cheaper to park there. The charges could be higher to deter commuter parking. Sid's put an interesting fact in. He says, I always find it useful in grasping the scale of things that 1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 32 years. So, Nick, when you say it's 65 million pounds out of a 150 billion pounds,
Keep left.
just to remind you, 150 is the annual cost of running the NHS. 65 million
Maybe if you crash,
is
you
the
get
discounts
closer.
given to NHS
Or
staff. Sid's worked out. It's 2
Like Christmas, you never know what you're going to get.
But to hospital
It's usually socks.
like
It's like a box of chocolates.
I bet there are not many hospital managers.
You never know what you're gonna.
Let's talk about this change of language.
It's like a woman. You never know what you're gonna get.
Pats and bloody socks. Oh, you shouldn't have. Oh, no, you shouldn't.
I just wanted to say, yeah, I mean, I'm a British Muslim, and although I am Muslim, I've been, lucky enough to be brought up in a very westernised way. Now, I do somewhat agree with the gentleman who just called in terms of, I don't think it matters what you label them, but they are so far of what Islam is actually about, that it doesn't, you could call them anything.
Only 3:50, 45 to go.
Basically kill and,
Oh, well, there's a thing. You're 5 kilometres behind me on the stream.
I somewhat agree with the gentleman because
Okay.
the end result is done. They've gone and taken X amount of lives, not
If
giving
that can cheer you up.
Oh, yes, I'm so happy now.
and I just think
It's really miserable. Oh, shit! Fuck. Oh, God, did you see that? Oh, no, you wouldn't.
No, not yet. Whoa! There you don't have to pay. Serious?
Yeah, you do, but it's credit. It's, they charge you number plates.
So I can take someone else's number plate. Imagine. No, that would be over the top.
Zara, fantastic. I asked for someone from your faith to give us a perception of how you see it. I'm so grateful. Look after yourself. Be safe. Thank you, Zara. Khalid and Red Bull, your reaction, Khalid. Good morning.
I see you driving and I want to go back, but I can't.
Fall asleep listening to Revolver Power. I'll sing you a lullaby.
Lullaby.
Go to sleep, my baby.
That's a pure lullaby.
Please don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that.
Touch your big fat ass in.
Come.
I don't sympathise. I don't mean sympathy-wise. I mean idiotic-wise. He hasn't got a clue of what he's doing. He's killing people, and with a wrong misconception of that he's going to be benefiting anyone because he's not. He's just going to denounce what he's supposed to be there for.
Right.
No one that commits anything can act like that channel.
Like your trucker, it doesn't. I just put it in there. I have to go back to Fallout though the next couple of days. I'm missing that. I want to know what rules. I'll watch that video.
He's a Muslim terrorist.
He's calling himself a Muslim terrorist, but that's fine. I would never do that. I mean, I work in the healthcare field. What I do is save lives, save lives. There's always a chance on me. Now, I'm not going to
Steering is really sensitive.
Why are we going to give people...
You've got to stay awake, otherwise you'll be off.
What's the benefit of giving people a partial truth? It's partial truth, because although I'm not saying it is the truth, it is not the true representation. The Manchester Arena bomber, London, they saw it as their interpretation. Why are we giving people more facts?
No, that's you can give people the side that's what they were taking, but if you keep on calling them Muslim jihadists or whatever, the people, the actual people behind the people,
Yeah.
People,
And I'll do it.
look, he's done this for our religion, he's on the papers. That's what they're doing. Oh yeah, we're getting together. But they're not getting anywhere. They're actually discrediting the religion.
On that point, we do it. Khalid, thank you. Let's see what others make a bit more reaction on this to come. Two other stories that I did mention this earlier, that more than a quarter of people in the UK could refuse to be vaccinated against coronavirus research. You'll get the results later today for a global front-runner vaccine developed at Oxford University showing the same figures a positive immune response. Unfortunately, it won't be on my watch, but I'm sure whoever my colleagues is on too. figures have shown even if this first step is
Came out of
successful,
the
and the
garage
drug
and
is
had to
proven to
go
work,
back.
I mean, a large number of people in the country say they'll be unwilling to be vaccinated, and say they could possibly refuse the vaccine. Kate Bingham chairs the UK Vaccine Task Force. Sorry, just for clarification, Kate, is that for COVID-19 or all vaccines? Good morning.
No, good morning. No, it's just for COVID-19 vaccines.
Right, okay.
Oh, sorry, I was coughing. Say again.
How close are we? And then your response to these findings.
Press F7 or F8 to watch your damage.
Given this is a virus that was only discovered in January, so the announcements today show that the UK is at the forefront of global efforts to source and develop these vaccines across a range of different
Keep
technologies.
right, and then keep left.
Oh, that guy hit me slightly. The guy was racing.
And Oxford Society just a moment ago has now vaccinated over 9,000 people.
Finding a new route.
Oh, plus I did crash into it. Yeah, no, that was me. I crashed into something.
Either against infection or to reduce the symptoms of infection.
Why, you suppose, a fair chunk of people would not be prepared to take it?
I can't get into the brains of why people would not be prepared. I think one question may be that they're concerned about safety. And the only difference
Keep
I would
left.
say to your audience listening today is that the clinical studies that are being done so rapidly are being done now in parallel as opposed to sequentially. There are no shortcuts in
I
safety
think you will have a good payout now.
I don't think it was that great, to be honest.
to show that the vaccines, anything that is preventing to
Should have taken it.
Where I was, it was not ready to say you.
we are accelerating the funding to allow these trials to be run in parallel as opposed to
34,500.
I would say to those people,
Sorry, how much?
34,500.
so it wasn't that long ago when millions of children, largely early in childhood,
Bad,
died
but
because of diseases
for
such
that
as
amount
smallpox,
of
or being maimed with diseases such as polio.
my last
And
one
now
was
we've got a
69,000.
society which has been hugely benefited globally through vaccination.
Grateful for your time, Kate Bingham. Thank you. You chair the UK Vaccine Task Force. Are you one of the people who wouldn't take the vaccine because of your concerns? Are you one of the people who want to change the language of policing sometimes? Matt up in Leytonstone. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Yes, I'm absolutely welcoming this change, and about time too.
Why?
Well, let me ask you, how many times have you heard the term Christian fundamentalist, or Christian terrorist, or Jewish terrorist? How many times have you heard of it?
Christian fundamentalists are quite blockish. But
Well, I haven't, but I know it's the news every day.
recently? No, not recently. No. But what's your point there then?
Well, I mean, it's inherently unfair. There are 2 billion Muslims in the world. How many
Yeah, for you it must be hard. Not going fast.
What links New York, Manchester, London Bridge, Nice, Paris, Berlin, Egypt, Tunisia, and I could go on. What links all of those? That would be attacks by jihadists who misconstrue their faith, right? Now, if I just reeled off that list of towns and we had, what was his name? Anders
Coming back for the second
we had
town.
Anders Breivik, similar figures in London, New York, Manchester, Westminster, Paris, Nice, Berlin. But guess what? We didn't. So that's why it's important.
That sounded so perverse. No. You do that zo Oh, that was the most perverse thing I've ever heard. No.
No? Ah, you have Rene and Gruber. Because, yeah, because you're driving your little tank, Allee, Gruber's little tank.
It's a special relationship they call it Tunisia.
There's a big misconception. Those people that carry out these terrorist attacks are, yes indeed, they are.
Yeah, the American truck simulator. Scenery, obviously. I think it's only about €4 at the moment. That's cheap.
Themselves to be Muslim.
It's nice to drive different trucks, different. It's just,
in
yeah,
the wrong perception and twisted. So it is the job of journalists to report.
I would buy it for you, but
Euro, I would go to America, London. Very happy with the European version.
Yes, I myself.
My goodness.
Because they misconstrued their faith. They perceived it's a perverted faith.
Oh yeah, I bought an Apple lot that Watch Dogs 2 the other day, so skip it.
That's the point.
Yeah, so you can get it free because you haven't had any stuff.
Ah, okay.
You could buy Fallout, so I thought I'd buy something back.
You don't go, it's not like a retirement loan for suicide.
I thought
sit around discussing everything. Let's see what others make of it. Night up, it's been interesting. Thank you, 9:31. This is Breakfast with me.
Oh my God, I think I'm there almost.
The government has signed a deal with 2 major drug companies for 90 million doses of
Keep left
COVID-19
and then continue straight on.
The drugs are still in development or in the second phase of trials. The British Medical
Go straight on.
The government's policies on face coverings are illogical and confusing to the public. From Friday, they'll be made compulsory in shops in England, but not in places. The Foreign Secretary will make a statement to the Commons later on the new security law China has imposed on Hong Kong. Tory MPs are calling for the UK's extradition agreement with the former British
Or
territory to
if
be
you crash,
suspended.
then you're directly
The
there.
weather, a few showers across parts of
Teleported.
Scotland, Northern Ireland,
Yeah, with a
and
bill.
Northern
Downside.
England, but most areas staying fine and dry with sunny
Then you
spells.
don't get
High of
nothing
22
from this.
Celsius.
This is LBC.
How do we control coronavirus now? Listen to Claudia. She's a care worker.
I got the call from NHS Test and Trace. Told I'd been in contact with someone with coronavirus. Couldn't believe it. I had to isolate at home for 14 days.
There
Couldn't go to
are a
work,
lot of
couldn't go
works
to the shops, couldn't
today.
get out to exercise. I didn't even
Seems
feel
so.
ill. But you know what? To protect my
They
family,
really
my
changed it,
friends,
huh?
my community.
Yes, yeah, I've set it to
Don't you?
full detour or whatever. But I mean, you can't do that because we're in a shared world, so I guess these are just random.
Yeah, it's our
You
random.
can't set it for other people, can you?
Break his own keepy uppy garden record. Unbeaten for the last 2 years.
Or maybe it
Looking
picks
good, sir.
something if
Looking
you're
good. Just 2 more to go. Oh no, got a bit too late. He's still on the ball. Unbelievable, Jeff.
Adidas tracksuit and trainers from Very.
Backyard off goal from Buster.
Visit
fucking
Very.co.
sick.
Keep left and then continue straight on.
And there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect and do
Go
business
straight on.
all around the world.
Ah,
Zoom
Zurich.
ties together
Here we
all
are.
of your communication needs into one easy platform for video conferencing, phone calls, group chat, webinars, and your conference rooms. Connect easily
Yes, you're
from
hoping
anywhere. Your
anything
mobile
could
phone,
happen.
your laptop, or conference room.
Yeah.
Zoom is how business gets done.
The last
Free account
corner.
at Zoom.com today. Meet happy with
Get that
Zoom.
you want.
Some things go together perfectly. Strawberries and cream, yes please. Ham and pineapple, jury's out. Pancakes and ketchup, no way. How about tradespeople you can trust? Now there's a perfect combination. Thankfully at trustedtrader.com you can find plenty of vetted, reviewed, reliable professionals in an abundance of trades. So
Keep
find
right
your perfect match
and then
today.
turn right.
What have you missed the most? A haircut?
Turn
a visit
right.
to the shops? Oh, you look lovely in that. What about a nice lunch? Fish and chips, please. Or an afternoon in a pub garden? Fancy a casual bike ride? Or perhaps something a little more intense? Or maybe you want a relaxing day out. Whatever you've missed, get out there and enjoy it again safely. Find out how at gov.uk/enjoy summer safely.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060
We'll talk more about the change of terminology. I think you'll be the next caller on that. I must fit in some of the text, tweets and emails that are coming on that as well. But we talked about vaccine, and indeed you heard on the news bulletin just there, Britain buying up millions of pounds worth of them, and COSA, but a large percentage, no, that's not fair, not large, a a noticeable percentage, 25% of Brits, thanks but no thanks to a vaccine. Stuart's in Kuala Lumpur. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Hi Nick, long time listener, first time caller. I think the vaccine should be made compulsory. The science is there.
Time to spare.
I know there was a few issues a few years ago with regards to the NMR vaccine with regards to autism, but that was completely debunked.
Yeah, the lights are only shining to the ground. It's the light of the ground.
I'm sure in the future.
Yeah, it's just a habit as well. When you're driving in reality, if you see somebody coming, just cut them back. Polite.
Like
Keep
they are
left
polite.
and then turn left.
You can still try in life. Doesn't mean the
Turn
rest of
left.
the world's going to be like that. Try it.
Keep right and then turn right.
What if their faith precludes them from having it?
Turn right.
I think, well,
Oh, my back. It's killing me.
Unfortunately, I think
become a
the
postman.
safety of the population and the health of the population totally
I've been home this morning before 12.
They can very well
Postman simulator.
Oh, yeah.
I think the science is there, and I think that the science should be listened to.
Get ready to turn left.
So will it be a package from Mrs. Wilkins today?
Turn left.
Oh, come inside, mailman.
We are finished.
Do you want something to drink?
Yes, I'm Andrea for you.
Oops, my pajamas are falling
Hello,
over.
man, hello.
Oh, shit.
Hello, hello,
My
man, hello.
pajamas falling over. Oh, mailman. Can you post your thing?
Yeah, there was somebody like that on the estate I delivered to. She was a policewoman as well.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Of
And the other one
duty
that
is
used
of
to,
duty.
Selamünaleyküm.
that's one that used to answer the door in this flimsy negligee every morning. Even if
Yeah.
it was just a letter, which was nice.
With the COVID pandemic incredibly well. The lockdown was harsh, and you know there was
Yeah, and you didn't like it.
you broke the
Oh, yeah.
the movement control orders here.
It's a bit embarrassed now, it's only 17.
10 days, there'd be huge fine. But they dealt with it incredibly well.
And she was?
It was harsh. The
20,
majority of the
28, I
population here
suppose.
adhered to it
Yeah.
incredibly well.
The police lady was about 40.
And now we're in a position where you know the country is now
Can't see
I
starting to
got a
open
bit
up.
of experience.
Incredibly gradual, very slowly, but in very, very small steps. They went, from the shopping
wrong way.
for, you know,
Part.
2 months to see how things were going. Then the bars would open up. It was done incredibly gradually, and the government waited until the numbers here were in sort of, in terms of infection, not in terms of death, in terms of infections, were in sort of, the 10s or 20s.
And lastly, Stuart, is it still front page news, leading the news bulletins on the TV, or have you moved on to other matters?
Imagine that you're parking and that at that moment another thing pops up for somebody. That you cannot park in there.
So really, I think sort of country's going to
Oh, no,
move away from it,
accelerated.
really.
Talk to us
You know
again.
what I
again
think?
soon,
The
Stuart.
things you're
Really enjoyed our
placing
conversation.
at the
Thank you.
game
There will be other and I hear what you
recognizes
say, and it would be to use an
and they give it to other persons.
that everyone would want.
Yeah,
But
probably.
you have to. And there may well actually be Orthodox Jewish people who be refusing the vaccine. They just sense that because some of them have issues with other vaccines or vaccinations.
23 and a half
But
almost.
certainly, I know Jehovah's Witnesses wouldn't be able to take it. So
Hello,
we
hello.
just ride over
Hello, hello.
their religious objections.
Well,
let's talk about the changing words such as jihadists.
Hello, hello.
Ahmed in New Malden. Your view, Ahmed. Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Yes, 99.999% of terror attacks are committed by Islamic
Currently.
jihadists.
Yeah.
Now, well, yes, we know that. I mean, there are a few others as well, but it's
She's got my trailer.
Hello.
And now it's
well, they persist. I mean, we need to get this straight.
Yeah,
they see
the
themselves
NPCs
as
using
they're not
your
true
trailers.
They don't actually represent.
So that's why your NPCs gain more money.
the thing is, Islam means peace, and yet
Your NPCs, how high are they?
Oh shit, the
are we ever going to learn? And I'm shocked.
So when you say, are we ever going to learn? Hold on, hello, matey. When you say, are we ever going to learn what?
Not to treat these people with kid gloves. We are just, I don't understand. If me and Begum is allowed in, you might as well allow other families to have it. I mean, what's going on? These some of you callers who's supposed to be Muslim and coming out with a notion, they change. It means they are sympathize with these people.
Right.
These people are being propagated in some mosque. It's incredible.
But you know that you do accept that's not the true face of the faith, don't you? Yeah, okay.
跑下来吧。
And someone such as
There you go.
why not bring her back and make her stand trial? I know. I will imagine we've been talking about this all last week, so I don't want to go over our ground. But why not bring her back
She's a
and have a stand trial?
4.2. She was a 3.3 earlier.
It's video recorded. The ideology.
No. But why not have that young woman come back and stand trial?
No, they have gone. They have made a choice to go and commit these atrocities.
Well, she didn't commit atrocities. She was involved in and was what's called a jihadi bride.
Her husband and associate, where she was.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm very, very concerned that I think probably the listeners heard a lot about that last week. I would imagine I wasn't here, so I deliberately haven't gone back. But thank you. We should probably move on. I sense we're going to have plenty of opportunities to talk about Mrs. Begum later on. So Ahmed will talk again about that soon. Let's talk about a story I did mention earlier. The NHS exploring the possibility of making its own cannabis oil so it can run trials into the drugs used in treating epilepsy. Medical cannabis has been legal since 2018 after a campaign by parents who said it helped prevent seizures in their children. But
how many drivers can you place in?
This one, only 3, but if I upgrade it, I can put 6 in there.
How effective it might be. Mike Barnes is a professor and consultant neurologist and medical cannabis expert. And chairs.
I think if you have more than one garage, you can
my first
place
question is, what does it
more
take,
than
do you imagine,
6,
to persuade
because you
other
have a long
colleagues
list
in the medical
there.
field? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
You see how many...
100,000 will give me 2 extra slots of garage space, so I'll be up to 5 then.
They've never been taught it, and I wouldn't want my doctor prescribing a medicine for me that they don't know nothing about it.
100,000.
Get over that. You can open your mind a little bit. I run a course, for example, a day course. It doesn't take long to understand the medicine. I've now trained about 50-ish doctors. So the world is slowly changing. They're slowly becoming more accepting of this as a medicine.
Is it a reluctance? Is it that they're too busy looking elsewhere?
Actually shows you how much you use your trailer.
It's a reluctance. I think it's partly the stigma that's been associated with cannabis for decades, to be honest. For years and years we were told this is a bad medicine. It's an anti-establishment entity. And now all of a sudden, it might be useful for something. And I think particularly the older generation, just to simplify things perhaps a little too much, but the older generation say, well, that can't be right. It causes psychosis, it causes all sorts of problems. And if it's prescribed sensibly, and from an educated point of view, it's a very safe and very effective medicine for many people.
If you were to call it ABC medicine
tubes,
rather than cannabis oil, do you think there'd be a different perception towards it?
I have those 4 already.
Up the Amazon,
Then there I have
people will say, this is a really interesting medicine. It does a lot of things. It interacts with many different systems of the body. It's a really useful new thing. Let's look at it. Because it's been labelled as cannabis and therefore bad for decades, I think you're absolutely right. It's all about.
I don't know where the money would be.
You can buy more.
Social
You
stigma.
can buy more than one.
And lastly, briefly, and in layman's terms, what is it doing for the patient?
Might buy the log one.
Well, it has a whole
logs, beans,
actions.
Tubes.
One, it's a very good painkiller.
Although that liquid food, it's liquid food.
Is for children.
Why can I not get
for those children, it could be absolutely life-changing.
gasoline, diesel or something?
Alfie Dingley had
I think that's one
seizures a month, 400 or 500. He went
or
on
maybe if you upgrade it.
at first, and they stopped.
Yeah, that's for another
zero,
DLC.
and some doctors still said it has the placebo effect, which is patently ridiculous. So it can be totally life-changing for these children. The sooner we get it on
because
the NHS,
it looks the same,
stop the parents having to fundraise £1,000 or £2,000 a month or sometimes more for their child to get on this medicine, the better. So I'm really pleased this trial is happening. Let's hope it happens sooner rather than later, not delayed into next year.
Grateful for your time, Mike Barnes,
that's
Professor
quite
and
nice.
Consultant Neurologist and Founding Chair of the
Steam
Medical Cannabis
skin.
Clinicians Society. You might have views on the effectiveness, efficacy of cannabis oil. You might have concerns, and of course you can let me know about those, and we'll come back to our conversation concerning the use of those words, jihadist and others. It's 9:45. Holly Harris has the LBC News headlines.
Sexy
The
trailer,
government
that
has
is.
secured early access to 90 million doses of different coronavirus vaccines being developed around
Steam,
the world.
apparently.
West Yorkshire police say a female officer suffered a
Why would I
serious
want that?
head injury following yesterday's Leeds United celebrations in the city centre. The Foreign Secretary will set out further measures later in response to China's imposition of tough new national security law on Hong Kong.
Right.
The weather showers in northern parts of the UK, dry with bright spells elsewhere,
Oh,
and
I
a high of
see.
22 Celsius.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb. One lane's closed on the M25 clockwise between junctions 23 at South Mims and 24 at Potters Bar, and that's because a car's broken down. Also, one lane's had to be closed on the A2 westbound just after the Ebbsfleet turn-off following an accident, and there are queues on the approach. Very busy on the
I can walk
A40
around it now.
heading towards Hanger Lane, and that was after a car broke down earlier westbound, and delays
gonna hide
continue
behind the
southward
tires.
on Church Road in both directions
God, my
because
ass is
of
too
the
fat.
temporary traffic lights.
Coming up at 10 on LBC, James O'Brien.
When precisely did face
Well, that's
coverings
not much in the
become
way of walking, is it?
controversial, and why?
James O'Brien.
So is that the only way you can walk in this game?
Good morning,
I suppose it must be.
DRC. Who would you like to speak to, please?
That's the reason why you can walk.
Hello.
That's the
Do you need
only
Peter again?
reason.
One
Tires are a
moment.
bit shit.
I'm putting this ad on hold to tell you I don't work here. I'm a money-penny receptionist. We answer and transfer calls for top
Yeah.
companies remotely,
They are not,
professionally,
the
brilliantly,
greatest.
and economically. Putting you through now, Sue.
Thanks. Gosh, Peter, you're lucky having people like
Rethink the way your office works with Moneypenny.
What have you missed the
Quite
most?
nice, that.
A haircut? A visit to
How
the
do
shops?
I get out of
Oh,
here?
you look lovely in that.
Take a
What about
picture.
a nice
Why?
lunch? Fish and chips, please.
Oh, I
Or
just
an
did that.
afternoon in a pub garden. Fancy
Take
a
a
casual
picture.
bike ride? Or
Oh,
perhaps
dear.
something a little more intense. Or maybe you want a relaxing day out.
It's a
Whatever you've
memory.
missed, get out there and enjoy
Yes.
it again safely.
The trailer I
Find
didn't
out
buy.
how at gov.uk
How the fuck do I get out of here?
Enjoy summer safely.
Ah.
When your tenants have a burst pipe,
Out of
superheroes
walking
crash
and
into the
then
walls in the help.
probably
With Direct Line Landlord
the
Emergency
door
Energy
eating.
Policy, we're on it to send a rather super plumber in 4 hours, and they'll use the doorbell. We can also assemble
Suppose I could
locksmiths,
buy that, couldn't
gaugers,
I?
electricians and drainage engineers. It's £7.50 a month per property.
Probably
over
make
12
more
months.
money, though,
We
with the
solve
blokes
problems,
and
you save money. Search Direct Line Landlord
fuck it.
Emergency. We're on it. Direct
Oh, I
Line.
bet I don't have to.
It's optional add-on £90 per year, up to 1,500 per call-out. Extreme weather conditions make
Yes,
same
you
response
have.
time. Underwritten by
For
UK Insurance
trails,
Limited.
you have
I
room.
work for a living. I work all my days. Who could have predicted this extraordinary phase? Time stood still, the clock kept ticking. Business is beating, trade still kicking. I'll stay strong, keep my head above water. For me, my customers, and my daughter. Adapt to new ways. Work where I please, get paid on time, manage cash flow with ease. With experts beside me, let's press play.
What
New
did I want?
tomorrows start today.
That's what I wanted.
Try it free for 3 months at sage.com. Charges apply after 3rd month unless cancelled.
Some things go together perfectly. Strawberries and cream, yes please. Ham and pineapple, cherries out. Pancakes and ketchup, no way. How about tradespeople you can
Get
trust?
out of my yard.
Now there's a perfect
My
combination.
yard.
Thankfully, at trustedtrader.com, you can find plenty of vetted,
Well, where's
reviewed,
my new trailer
reliable
then?
professionals in an abundance of trades. So, find your perfect match today.
Moneypenny receptionists answer and transfer calls remotely, economically, brilliantly. Miss the office? Maybe, but you won't miss a call with Moneypenny.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
What is my trailer?
345 6060973.
They bothered us with it.
This comes from Jerome. since the word terrorism has been
Oh, I think you have to
that's
get a
strange.
job, don't you? You have to get a job first and then
Yeah.
come back and pick your
Maybe
children
we
up.
should categorise either
No,
political
no,
terrorism,
no. The
e.g.
job
ETA,
gives you
or
directly.
religious terrorism, regardless of religion. This would make everybody happy. But Jerome, I come back to my point that I said to an earlier caller.
Well, he's got the
Why
same
are you not
same
giving
truck,
everybody
this
the whole
guy.
story?
Almost.
Why are you only giving them part of the story?
He's a
And no
model.
one is saying that these people have got the right view of Islam. Of course they are. Deny people for the fact, surely.
Oh, it's the
Barbara,
posher
Barbara,
Volvo.
do you wish to tell me good morning?
Oh, good morning, Nick.
Mine's the poor man's one.
First time caller.
Yeah, but he has sightlines.
I need a Volvo dealer. Where would I get one from when I turn?
Oh, yes.
Press is
25.
Why don't you call them Jewish terrorists or Christian terrorists? Well, we do.
I know your garage, and then you can upgrade it.
Of the
You can upgrade your
security infidels. And
on top.
unfortunately,
I mean, this is where one has to tread carefully, because you can look at all sorts of religious texts, and without any nuance, you could have them do all sorts of things, like stoning to death adulterers. Man, I'm in trouble. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's mine.
You see that you can buy a vehicle.
Terrorists have taken it at the true meaning. And therefore, they should be called out for what they are. We are getting two pieces.
You better upgrade your.
Jewish terrorists.
750.
They must be pointed out.
I need to be 25 for that one.
The internal religion must incidents and call their people to task at.
How would they do that, though?
Oh, excuse me.
Because
Yeah,
if you
540
agree
is the
that these
highest I can
people
get on
are
Volvo.
probably psychopathic in some instances,
It's not really worth
how
it.
on earth is
No, you
a
better save your
responsible
money
imam
first
or just a
till you
responsible
get
Muslim
this
person,
one.
how on earth are they going to bring them back to
Is that the
normality?
one? Globetrotter.
It's impossible. It'd be like me saying, or you, saying to me, why didn't I try and bring Jimmy
How
Savile
many
back to
horsepower
normality?
is it?
Because I work in radio
Well, that
too.
one's 700. It says I can
it's
buy
just
it.
not
That
fair,
one.
is it?
Well, Jimmy Savile is a totally different kettle of fish.
No, I
You
want
can
the
buy the 700 to do it.
Yeah,
750
you could
one, this
argue, and why weren't radio presenters or
yeah,
indeed TV
this one is a
presenters
good one.
doing more? And of
This
course,
is the one that I have.
didn't know, and he was vile and clearly very, very
The
mentally
same
sick and a
principle.
vile individual. Well, that's the same as somebody who blows up a plant,
It's all
isn't
up
it?
to you. It's your
No, well,
money,
we're
your gameplay, your choice.
changing the whole face of things. They are what they are.
They are what they are. On that point, Barbara, we will leave it.
Once you have your new
they are what they are. Barbara, thank you. Imran's in Bermondsey. You're on the radio, Imran.
vehicle, you can.
Hi, Nick. It's actually Imran.
Oh, Imran, sorry. My apologies.
Yeah,
Imran.
no problem. That's fine. Good to speak to you.
Good to have you on.
Great show. Don't think I actually agree with you on this occasion, Nick. Okay, the reason I'll tell you my point. If let's say this individual or these terrorists,
It's not
if they call
GTA,
themselves,
where you
let's say a doctor or a scientist, would you be happy enough to?
It
say
looks like a
tomorrow
room,
that
a room
doctor
now.
caused a terrorist attack or blew up this place or that place? Would you be happy to actually label it as that?
If they were a proper, if they were a doctor.
But if they call it, well, that's it. That's the key word, proper. And these are all of the
I've got to get one of these. Just chase people.
Okay, I see where you are. If we had let me answer. If we had people pretending to be doctors, letting off bombs or flying into buildings in New York and Tunisia and Berlin and Nice and Paris and London and Manchester, yes, we've got a wave of people, terrorists pretending to be doctors.
Oh yeah, I didn't
yes.
either. I don't know why.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, I just think it's completely wrong because it's.
Well, you might think it's wrong. Well, it is wrong. No, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, if they're labeling themselves as Muslims, we just simply can't say that they are Muslims because, like I
but
said,
they think they are.
It's incorrect. Like they would say that it would be incorrect for them to call themselves scientist or a doctor or a specialist. It's the same way it's incorrect for them to label themselves as a Muslim.
Hold on. But what unites most of them is that, or in some instances, they were sort of very, whatever I mean by this, regular Westerners, and then they get into the faith of Islam. And then they are radicalised by what I would imagine some pretty evil imams, or they're radicalised online. But they start, what is the common denominator is they all come to the faith of Islam, and then they lose their way. It's not the same with suggesting a wave of doctors of bombing the whole of Europe.
I think they're simply told that if you do this, it's a matter
is like a gate for heaven. I don't even think they look too much into it or anything. They think that if we do this, we're in the middle of a war. They're brainwashed. We're in the middle of a war. If we do this, we will go to heaven. That means, I mean, even if they were told, you know, if I could Jew, but you're Jewish, if you blow this place.
Мразота.
Don't go, sir. I want to bring Shaz in Hillingdon. Shaz, you talk to Imran because I think you agree with me. You need to give everyone the full facts, don't you? Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Nick. Imran, the point is that you're saying that they do not understand Islam. They probably haven't read.
Oh, well, I've had a nose about.
But then even
I see what I want. Just can't afford it. Let's have a look at the scan here, then.
Muslims don't agree with other Muslims. They don't pray behind other imams. They don't follow the same interpretation as somebody
Шо нахуй сюда, долбоёб?
So on what basis can somebody with certainty say that their faith is the absolute true form of Islam when even amongst Muslims there is no agreement? So on that basis, Islam... So just
hang on one in, let him go just a bit longer. Back to you, Shaz.
Yeah, the term Islamist actually has
50, that's the one,
differentiate between Islam, which the majority of Muslims
that's the
follow,
one that I bought, and then I
political
upgraded
ideology
the engine.
Let's get Imran a response. Imran?
Okay, that's fine.
This is the one that I
said, well, a lot of Muslims, like the normal,
and then I upgraded the engine to 750, and then you have the 750.
That's
or
fine.
the 730, what is it?
I don't play 5 times a day.
Because
However,
it's the same model,
I do know
only
that I
another
am
engine.
supposed to. I'm not saying I am supposed to blow something
It's
up.
really good.
I know that's complete rubbish. I know I'm supposed to play 5 times a day. I'm supposed to. We all agree that this is actually allowed. This is what's supposed to happen. No common Muslim is going to disagree on these basic rules. What? We're all united saying that this is not even a 1% reflection of what should happen. We don't know where they've got it from. It's utter nonsense. So that's why that's where the difference is.
And that's why, Imran and Nick, the term Islamist is essential because it differentiates from Islam. Islamism, which Islamists and Islamic terrorists follow, is a political ideology which is very different, but derived from the teachings of Islam,
looks like
as
that,
the Salafis or the Wahhabis
Rasta.
actually interpret. So you can't go around saying your Islam is wrong because they can turn around and say you people who do not pray 5 times a day aren't Muslims, or you don't have a beard, you're Muslim, or a woman who does not cover isn't a Muslim. So nobody has the right to give another Muslim
Well, I like
the qualification or the certificate that you're a good Muslim or even a true Muslim.
The goal is a golden
Even
touch
see how
rate.
they can actually, can you see how any one of these terrorists, is what I'll call them, and I think that's the correct term, terrorist. Can you
It's
see
kind of
how
nice in
or
a
from
bit of a
where
show-offy
they
way.
get this idea to blow up random people, whether it's
But they're radicalized,
Oh,
no. There are verses in our Quran which they take out of context, where it says kill unbelievers, where you find it, there's a context to it, but to them that verse singularity is the purpose behind their attack.
I don't
to them,
spend my
killing an
money
unbeliever is there. That's
I understand that. I understand that, but they also, when they're doing these attacks, it's not
brown.
Christians or
What a horrible
Muslims,
colour.
they
Let's have
actually, most of the time, there actually are Muslims present in that will also...
But I think we all agree they're psychopaths.
Nice looking truck. So you reckon that's quicker than the Volvo?
Those Muslims who might be good Muslims or true Muslims to become martyrs.
I'm going to buy the Volvo just because I'm going to buy the Volvo. So we'll have to have a race.
If children get killed or
Unloaded
people
and
who are just
loaded.
going about their daily life or Muslims,
Sporty steering wheel, huh?
but you've killed unbelievers as a result of our jihad, they're going to go to hell. And we will also get our 72
Oh my God.
But that is through the radicalisation we've already discussed. Gents, I must leave it there. Thank you, because Imran and Shaz, thank you for your time. It means that so many others actually haven't been able to get in, so apologies to Kelly, to Adam, to Christian, and others for another day. The conversation will, of course, continue.
That's over
James
the
O'Brien's
top.
coming up the other side of the
That's
news.
over the top.
I'm going to be back with you tomorrow morning from 7. Meantime,
Thank you, Nick. It's almost Groundhog
really
Day flavour when we return our attention to
Yeah, but you'd be able to turn around any corner. Oops.
I think they long have
Yeah, I had an alarm coming.
with the best records of
Wait, me my desktop. Let's.
Myth of false equivalence, your false opinion is worth
Okay,
as
well,
much
I
as
suppose I
my
better leave it there.
facts. Is it that simple, or is there something peculiarly British going on?
Yes, I'll have fun going to sleep and then going out later shopping.
You've had to cancel.
That's quite a nice looking truck, I suppose.
Global Player and
For the lady, oh, I've been kicked from the server.
this is LBC.
Oh, actually, if I traded it in, what would I get? I'd sell my other truck for almost 97,000.
The government has secured early access to 90 million doses of 3
So that'd be
different
200,000
coronavirus
for that
vaccines
truck.
that are still in development. It's also ordered a treatment containing COVID-19 antibodies for people who can't receive one of the jabs. The new deals are in addition to
Stick with
drugs
your
being worked on
Volvo.
at Oxford University
Yeah, I'm going
and
to.
Imperial College London.
Yeah.
Chair
Then
of the
we're gonna have a
UK
race.
Vaccine Task Force, Kate Bingham, has told us they are in good shape.
There are 23
Well,
vaccines
Iveco,
in clinical trials. And
I haven't
Oxford
seen
has
any
now
Iveco, I
vaccinated
don't
over
think.
9,000 people. So we're well on the way to really exploring whether or not these
They're horrible.
vaccines are both safe and capable of protecting
idea,
either
mate.
against infection or to reduce the symptoms of infection.
The Foreign Secretary will set
Oh,
out
the
further
Stratas,
measures
these are
in
supposed to be
response
quite good.
China's introduction of a tough new national security law on Hong Kong later.
I won't be
Donald
buying
Rath's
one, but
expected to follow the example of the US, Canada and Australia and suspend the UK's
560
extradition treaty
top
with
stock.
the former British territory. Former Conservative MP Dominic Grieve, who chaired the Intelligence and Security Committee,
Oh my
says
goodness.
it is a dangerous situation.
Not a very powerful
Unless
beast.
people pay some attention to how a foreign state, which appears to have a fairly malevolent intent towards Western democracies, goes about its
really
business, they will
powerful,
not understand what needs to be done
How
to
much?
guard ourselves against it.
A female police officer is being treated for a serious head injury after bottles were thrown at police in Leeds city centre. Around 7,000 people crowded into Millennium Square yesterday to celebrate Leeds United's
I think I like that
promotion to the
much.
Premier League. 15 members of the public were also injured and
Okay.
9 arrests were made for public order offences. A 30-year-old man's been charged with attempted murder after a staff member was stabbed at a hospital in Brighton yesterday. The 56-year-old victim is now recovering at home. The beefeaters at the Tower of London are facing redundancies
nice
for
you've
the
been
first time in their
picked,
500-year history due to the coronavirus lockdown's impact on tourism. 37 beefeaters are employed to guard the crown jewels and live inside the tower to their families. 3 million visitors passed through the attraction last year, but now it can welcome less than 1,000 people a day.
Oh no!
In the city, a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was
Oh
trading
shit!
at 61 points and 62.28. Was 125. A few showers in Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England. But most areas staying fine and dry with warm sunny spells. A high of 22 Celsius. From Global's newsroom.
Yeah,
I'm
me
Holly
too.
Harris.
Alright, buddy. See you later on.
See you later on.
See you later, bud. Take care.
Stop the spread of the virus in our communities. If you've got symptoms, even